Alright, welcome everybody to another BDA boxing podcast where we say what we feel, talk about whatever we want, and also a little boxing every once in a while. This is Mr. BDA with you as always. My co-host King Bucho should be joining me shortly. Let's get down to business, people. If you want to join us, you know the drill. Go to Google Hangouts, send us an instant message via the email address that's on the top of your screen, boxingdebate@hotmail.com. That's boxingdebate@hotmail.com. First time users, we will require an email from you. That's just for one time, and after that we won't ask for it again. It's just so we can send you the invites more easily. We just had an interesting fight. White, sensational knockout over Lucas Browne. I hate to say it, it's kind of paradoxical to call a brutal thing a beautiful thing. But it was a pretty fucking beautiful knockout, man. This is the type of knockout that as a boxing fan you live for. I feel a little bad for Lucas Browne. I mean, poor guy, he was just too slow. But that's the nature of the game, man. It's a jungle there. Only the strong survive. Want to shout out to Boxing Battenberg, Pavel, Scott Taylor, Shepherd of Sons, Dr. Steelhammer, the Mr. Coxey, Stuart Little, and Mark DeLonge, everybody in the house. Good to have you on board. Guys, you know what we got to start off with? News. Boxing news. We got to get to some news. Ryan Garcia this past Thursday, 19-year-old, 14-0 with 13 knockouts. A very young guy. Looked impressive by stopping veteran Fernando Vargas. According to Boxing Scene, he will be fighting, or they're planning to put him in, on the undercard of the Canelo Alvarez-Gennady Golovkin rematch. More on that, though, as we continue the program later on. Also in the news, according to Boxing Scene, Crawford and Horn, Terence Crawford and Jeff Horn, will be fighting on June the 9th at the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. As you remember, that fight was postponed. It was supposed to happen in April. It's being moved to June the 9th. At least it's still gonna happen, because you know how it is sometimes with these fights. They're cancelled, this and that, but at least they're gonna fight. And I'll tell you something, I'm looking forward to this fight. I want to see how Terence Crawford looks at welterweight against a strong, rough, and let's face it, dirty guy. Okay, so that's one of those two pieces of news. Also in the news, the multi-million-dollar rematch between Saul Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin is in jeopardy, as the Nevada State Athletic Commission has temporarily suspended Alvarez. The suspension comes after the Mexican tested positive for illegal substances in 2 separate tests. In an unprecedented move, however, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, still under fire for defending Adelaide Bird's dubious scorecard in the first fight, will select a jury of civilians to decide Canelo's fate. Normally, commissioners are the ones that decide the verdict, but Bob Bennett, executive director of the NCAC, feels that the decision absolves the commission of any accusations of bias. And he's being quoted as saying, "We've already selected a number of highly competent and intelligent jurors," Bennett said. "We tracked down all of the jurors of the O.J. Simpson trial, as well as the FBI agents that have solved Hillary Clinton during her private email scandal. We're confident that they will make the right choice." So I guess everything's gonna be alright. I'm pretty sure it's gonna be a just hearing. I'm pretty sure there's not gonna be any shenanigans or any influences, outside influences. I'm pretty sure they're gonna make the decision that's best for boxing and not the decision that's best for the pockets, because that's the way it's always been in boxing. People always make the right choice, the right moral choice.
Where are you going? What are you doing? What the hell are you doing?
Anyway, see what people are saying in the chat room. Corruption in boxing. Shout out to Corruption, says, "What's up, BDA?" Boxing Style in the house as well. King Bucho in the chat room. Mark DeLonge says that Browne was too slow and that it was a makeup session. I don't know, makeup session. Dino Perxio, shout out to Dino. All hail to the king. Dr. Steelhammer says, "What was with Crawford's hand? What was the hand diagnosed with?" I don't know. It's a good question. Pavel says the suspension regarding Canelo Golovkin, the suspension is just for show. There's too much money involved in the fight. Hamed says, evening guys, BDA, Bucho, shout out to Hamed. B-Prop KR in the chat room, shout out to B-Prop. Yeah, we're gonna talk more about the Canelo Golovkin circus that's been going on. But for the moment, let's, you know, stick to Dillian Whyte versus Lucas Browne. Let me tell you something. People love to downgrade, or denigrate, I should say, this heavyweight division. It's pretty good. Pretty good. I'll tell you what, I lived through the skin of my nut through that fucking post-Lennox Lewis era, where we had Vitaly and Vladimir stinking the place up. Alright, Vitaly wasn't that boring, but Vladimir, come on. Vladimir jab and hold, didn't like that. That fucking heavyweight era, one of the worst eras ever, in my opinion, in terms of entertainment. And now, look what we have. Punchers. Big punchers. Deontay Wilder, Anthony Joshua. Come on, those are good fights. Those are very good fights. Good fighters. Dillian Whyte, look, I know what people are gonna say. Lucas Browne was trash. Shit, sorry about that. Yeah, Lucas Browne was trash. Okay, maybe he's not the most competent boxer in the world, but I think Whyte in this performance showed that he deserves to be classified above guys like Lucas Browne. This is a tough guy. And Anthony Joshua took him out. Okay, so let's give Dillian Whyte a little credit here. Bucho, are you there, by the way?
Yep.
Yeah, good of you to drop by, Bucho. Ah, you know what that means, right? Now that you're here?
Yes.
The king is here.
You can have Kenny Bayless as a referee in every single fight, so you're all happy.
The king is here.
Alright, Bucho, I'm just talking about
That's
the
a
Dillian...
shitty intro, man.
Well,
Yeah, what?
you're gonna change it, or...?
I'll change it.
Alright, what was I gonna say? Oh yeah, did you watch the fight, by the way? Did you get a chance to look at it? Let me tell you something.
Fucking garbage, man.
I know, you were
Fucking
absolutely right. You were absolutely right in saying that Browne was too slow. And I knew he was gonna be slow as well, but I didn't think Dillian Whyte was gonna look like freaking Muhammad Ali in there.
Browne looked so slow in the pads during the open training workout that I thought he was playing possum. I was like, this can't be real. He must be playing possum. He's trying to, you know, to give some confidence for Dillian Whyte to start like throwing bombs. And so he deliberately looks slow like shit. But nah, that's a real Lucas Browne. Slow, fat as fuck. It's a disgrace. It's a disgrace. How the hell is he up in the heavyweight rankings? Fucking bullshit. And then I don't know. At the end, I was eating and I muted the whole fucking thing. I see Dillian Whyte just like post fight giving an interview, and he's going all ballistic and all crazy and shouting or something. I'm like, what the hell is? Why is this guy even celebrating?
Well, he got a sensational
Like he
knockout.
just beat a fat guy.
Yeah, but come on.
He beat a fat. Are you serious?
He took him out the way he was.
He deserves a title shot again. This is how weak this division is. It's garbage.
But come on, give him a little
Pure
credit.
garbage.
He took him out. He took him out the
For
way he
knocking
was
out this
supposed to.
guy.
Yeah,
Okay.
he took him out the way he was supposed to.
Oh, okay, but you don't go fucking ape shit.
Have you
Seriously.
ever knocked somebody out, man?
No.
Have you ever tasted the euphoria
No,
of
I'm not a
beating
professional
another man?
boxer, but if I was and I knocked out a fat guy like that, I wouldn't be celebrating. I'll tell you that right now. Remember Mike Tyson, why he didn't celebrate? Remember why he didn't celebrate?
Because he was supposed to win?
Exactly. Cosdomato told him, like, because you were supposed to win. So if you start acting like all surprised and fucking dancing in the ring and shit, it just shows you that you weren't even confident that you were gonna win in the first place.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point. But hey, to each his own. You know? Well, let's
I'm
start.
just saying, okay, be happy. It's not a big win. I mean, come on, just look at the other guy. Does he look like a professional boxer?
No, absolutely not. But no, come on, listen. Let's talk about what this means for the heavyweight division. Dillian Whyte got the win the way he was supposed to against the guy that was really way too slow for him, but he got the win, man. So where does he go from here?
Well, I guess he's gonna get a title shot. I mean, probably he will fight. I mean, first of all, we gotta look at the sanctioning bodies and who they have ranked as #1, because I mean, that's how it's gonna work out, right? It doesn't matter what we want. The fucking sanctioning bodies are gonna fucking put up their man. I don't know. I'd like to see him against Deontay Wilder, but If we can get Wilder Joshua right away, why not put Dillian Whyte in there? But guess what? That fight's not gonna happen because you have Dominic Brazil there as #1 probably. Oh no, wait a minute. Is Dillian Whyte the #1 contender for the WBC? I think he is.
Dillian Whyte is number. I think so.
Somebody wrote Whyte against Brazil.
That wouldn't be a bad fight. I think Whyte beats Brazil. Brazil is he look, he will hit hard. Any heavyweight really will hit hard. But I mean, Dillian Whyte, I think he's not on Joshua's class all that much, and I mean he can't beat Joshua, but he's above a guy like Brazil. Would you agree with that? Would you put it that way?
Yeah, I agree.
And some people in the chat who's anime Tenshu TV, shout out to Anime, says Wilder has fought so many opponents like that, to be honest. Well, guess what? His last opponent wasn't a bum, so I mean I think we gotta step away from the Wilder has fought bums era, because now he finally stepped it up, and it was a pretty entertaining fight against Ortiz. So let me tell you something, because you know people have been complaining for a long time about the heavyweight division. The heavyweight division, I'm not saying it's back, I'm not saying it's the golden era for heavyweights, but let's look at the positives. It's shaping up to be quite a nice division, and we have upcoming guys like Dubois, and what's the name of that guy that Precise made a video about? Fuck, what's his name? There's a new guy coming in too, Nicholson or something, I think, and he looks pretty good, pretty fast. So, and he's a big dude as well who can move. So we're gonna see what this is all about, man. Let's see what else people are saying in the chat room. Precise says Brazil kills Whyte. Pavel says Brazil is a big boy, don't overlook that. No, absolutely not, but in terms of technique, Mr. Cox says Brazil needs a bra. Tim DeBell, shout out to Tim, says I see a double headline, Whyte versus Wilder, Joshua versus Miller to build it up in the USA. And I don't think they put Joshua against Miller. I think they put Joshua in against Whyte, and Wilder takes a fight against somebody else, and then they finally get it on Joyce. Yeah, people are saying Joyce. That's the name of the other heavyweight I was talking about. Thanks to Dopamine, Battenberg, Tim, Reverse, Precise. They both came up with the name. King Bucho says, okay, okay, he sent the invites. Tim DeBell, blah, blah, blah. Okay, Tim DeBell, shout out to Tim. I already said that. Shout out to Reverse Lee. Shout out to Apex Boss Man. He says Brazil and Joey Joyce would be a good fight. Joey Joyce. That's a lot of alliteration right there. Joey Joyce. Don't do what Joey Joe don't. Oh, we got Stu on the line. Stu, are you there?
I am indeed. How you getting on, boys?
Good, good. Oh, and I see we also have Precise in the chat room, so you know what that means, right, guys? Who do I start with? Well, let's start out with the guy who got in first, I guess.
If Wilder took that shot, well, we wouldn't be talking about a Joshua Wilder fight. We'd be talking about when's Wilder getting out of his coma.
And of course, we got Precise. Precise, don't talk during your intro.
Dependent upon how you interpret the data.
What's up with all the transvestites in Hollywood, though?
Because if you're a postmodernist and you don't have any standards, you're always going to keep moving the goalpost, and you're never going to stick to your own standards because you don't have any standards.
Alright, first of all, I gotta apologize to Precise. He's not, I just realized he's not the one talking during his introductions. In the introduction, there's other voices up there because we recorded that off a live hangout. So Precise, I hope you accept my apologies. I beg your pardon. And so thank you for being here, guys. First of all, I know what you're gonna say. These guys were bums. These guys were bums, right? Come on.
Lucas Browne, I mean, he reminded me of, you know, in the Wizard of Oz when they saw the Tin Man and it rained and he went all stiff.
Right.
That's what Lucas Browne was like. He just couldn't move. It was like it started raining and he just went all stiff. I mean, it was fucking horrendous to watch. I thought the Hebrew Hammer had made a return as Lucas Browne. I mean.
But look, what were people?
What can I say? I mean, this guy. I mean, if you're going to be that slow and that overweight, at least put your hands up.
Right.
You know,
that's a good point.
Put your fucking hands
up. Trying to fight like Roy Jones.
Yeah, the guy's. He's got his left hand down, like you said, like he's a prime Roy Jones. Mm-hmm. I mean, the telegraph punches that he was throwing. I mean, I could see him coming through the TV, and I'm not even a professional fighter. I'd have fucking avoided them. I mean, just a horrible, horrible performance. I mean, Dillian Whyte did what he had to do. Looked good doing it. Tremendous knockout. But to be fair, when a man's walking forward that slow in front of you with his hands down, looking so bad. I mean, the fact that it took him 5 rounds to get him out of there was. It probably don't look good on Dillian, but for me, you've got to give him credit. It was a very good performance. He's improving Dillian Whyte. That's a fact. You know, one thing about Dillian Whyte, he trains very hard, and he's dedicated to boxing, and he wants to be the best. And like some people just haven't got the talent, but Dillian Whyte, he's got a little bit of talent, but because his enthusiasm and his heart to do well, it's going to get him so far in boxing. It is. He's going to do okay, but. At the top elite level, I just think he's a bit short.
I would agree with that. Precise, what did you think? Did you at least like the knockout?
No, I didn't like anything. I thought it was a dreadful fight. I thought both guys looked like absolute shite. And I think Browne quit. I think don't get me wrong, it was a decent shot and it did knock him down, but he didn't want to get up, so he pretended he was asleep. But that's okay.
That's true. And the way he fell a little bit, I have to rewatch it, but it did look a little suspect.
No, he just didn't. He didn't train for this fight, obviously. I mean, come on.
Well, do you think they took away his PEDs, right?
But still, I mean, just I know he didn't have his PEDs, but can he at least not be fat? I mean, is that too much to ask of athletes?
Exactly. I mean, come on, man. The difference between Dillian Whyte and Lucas Browne, obviously, there's a bit of ability difference, but you know, Dillian Whyte trained like an animal. You just know he was training like an animal for this fight. Lucas Browne don't look like he did any sort of training at all. I mean, from a distance, it looked like Butterbean was in there. I mean, just fucking horrendous to watch. I mean, sad really. Sad that, you know, this is a top of the bill fight. We've got this guy who's got a decent record on paper, and he's an ex-world champion. And that extra 2 years, I mean, I think he was rubbish when he won the title. I think he got lucky with a shot. But to be inactive for 2 years, and you're not very good as it is, I mean, his timing was off. I mean, the head just couldn't move. I think he was trying to do things, but his body wouldn't react. I think that's when the age kicks in. As an old man in there, you know you're getting old when you're trying to do something and your body won't react, and that's what happened.
All right. First of all, you're right. He did look like Butterbean in there. That's number one. Number two, we got Hamed on the line. Hamed, we still haven't gotten your new introduction ironed out, so I guess I'll just have to. I don't know. I guess we'll have to make a different type of introduction for you for the moment, man. Then again, I don't have anything for you right now. Sorry. All right.
Play the old one.
He doesn't like the old one.
Okay, well then no.
I'll play.
All right.
Get ready for Hamed. It's on.
Yeah, Butcher, what is that music anyway?
It's hard on. No, I don't know.
What the fuck?
All right. Then we also have.
How's it going?
Good. Thanks for being on. We also have another person in here, a new person to the hangout, Nordic Warrior. Nordic, are you there? Nordic, are you there? Well, maybe he's got his mic off, so I guess he must be doing something else. We'll get back to him later. All right, Hamed, I've asked Precise and Stu what they thought of the fight. What did you think?
I think just looking at the body of Lucas Browne, I think he was in bad shape. I don't think he trained for that fight. I mean, that was bad. I thought, give Dillian Whyte first credit.
There you go.
He was a one-sided beating. I thought he did what he had to do. I still don't think he's all that. I don't think he set the world on fire. I think Wilder and Joshua definitely beat him. I'd like to see him fight Brazil. I think that'll probably be a toss-up fight. I think Brazil might beat him. I'm not too sure.
Whoa.
I'd like to see that fight. I still think there's things White does make mistakes, but he got the job done. It was a good knockout, whatever. He won cleanly, so I'll give him credit. But got to look at the other way as well. I think the guy he was fighting was in really bad shape, and he was out of shape. Yeah, I mean, he was inactive. He's 38 as well.
Yeah, that's the other thing.
I don't think Lucas Browne is a full-time boxer. Like, just looking at his, I was watching it on HBO, and I never knew he was a former NFL player. He's got a lot of jobs. I thought
he's a former cage fighter.
Ah, there you go.
He's a former bouncer.
That explains the tattoos.
Do you guys hear me on this? It's my microphone. I was trying to get it to work.
Yeah, we can hear you, man. Thanks for being in here, Nordic. How are you, man?
Alright, thanks. Yeah, I'm alright.
Alright, perfect. Well, I will get your opinion on the fight. Hamed, you finish what you were saying, please.
Yeah, I think he was in bad shape. I wouldn't give him too. I think he might have won the title shot, but I'd like to see him fight someone before, someone like Brazil, then get the title fight. I think that'd be a good idea. But I think Eddie Hearn is using him as a pawn to keep Wilder away from Joshua. I think what they might try and do, if Dillian Whyte is in Cardiff next week, they might try and get Dillian Whyte to confront Wilder. Eddie Hearn is a genius at stuff like this, and I think that's the reason he's probably calling out Wilder. But I don't know. I don't know if many people want to see that fight next. I wouldn't mind seeing him and Brazil fight, Dominic Brazil, and the winner fights Wilder. But I'd rather see Wilder and Joshua fight next if Joshua beats Park, which I don't think at the moment. Obviously, they got a big fight coming up next week, but I'm not too sure if that fight will happen this year. It's a big fight. They'll probably have to wait until next year. But I was surprised HBO were at the fight. Yeah, but that's all I wanted to say.
Yeah, the HBO had to get the fight, man, because they're running out of fights right now. They gotta cover the sport in some capacity, and they're hedging their bets.
No, but they traveled as well.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. They're hedging their bets because they're running out of options right now. ESPN might just overtake them. All right, Nordic, again, thanks for being here, man. And what was your opinion of the fight?
You know, I would go to say that Lucas Browne is probably the worst fighter to ever win a world title.
We're having hard time listening to you. You sound like the volume is low.
Sorry, it's this microphone on this laptop isn't very good. Fucking shite, mate. Can you hear me now?
We can barely hear you, man. Again, it's for a while there it was sounding good, but now keep talking. Maybe we'll.
You should be able to hear me now.
Yeah, keep talking.
On my desk. Yeah, I was just saying, Lucas Browne, man, he's probably the worst fighter to ever get his hands on the heavyweight title, because if you guys remember the fight against Chagayev, I mean, Chagayev was morbidly obese. The guy has some hepatitis. The guy's fucking way past his prime. When he was in the Klitschko era, he was getting obliterated by one of the top heavyweights. And he was able to drop Chagayev. He was able to drop Lucas because the 10th round was way ahead on the card. He basically just fainted because of his health issues.
Nordic, I think we're having
Lucas Browne.
We're having connection issues, man.
He's a shit athlete. The fact that he's
I don't think he can hear me.
Show how shit the era is.
I don't think he can hear me. Man, we're having trouble hearing what you have to say. I think what you have is some connection issues. I don't think it's the microphone that's the problem. I think it's the connection issues.
Oh, see, it could be. Yeah, because see, I don't know, when I speak on this, it's doing the little green light like it's working, but
now it's good.
Here, then it,
now it's good.
Better now.
Oh yeah, now it's better, man. Now it's better.
All right, that's good then.
Yeah, I mean, this fight I've noticed as well, no matter who fights in the heavyweight division, it always becomes about Deontay Wilder. It's become about Wilder again.
What do you mean?
I mean, Wilder had his day the other day.
Right.
Yes, he won by knockout. He knocked a 50-year-old man out. Looked terrible doing it at times, but he did it. He's had his time. Let Dillian Whyte have his shine, for Christ's sake. All of a sudden, we're making it out about Wilder. And not you guys on this show. I'm talking about around the internet. I mean, they're all talking about Wilder and Dillian Whyte now. And I see one comment where it says, Dillian Whyte and Anthony Joshua are not ready for Wilder. I mean, Did these guys forget what happened in round 5 in that fight? Round 6.
All roads lead to Wilder.
I mean, did they forget what happened?
See, according to
when
these
Wilder
same
was...
people there, according to these same people, Wilder still needs development, and he's still a prospect, even though the guy's had 40 professional fights and he's been a pro for 10 years.
Well, listen, he's one of the big names in the division. I mean, people are going to bring up his name all the time. I'm not surprised that every time somebody fights, they mention Wilder. Or would you rather they mention Joshua more?
Well, I mean, Joshua was the legitimate champion who actually beat the man. So Wilder's just a belt holder, and he's no more a champion than Lucas Browne was a champion. So I don't know why they always have to bring Wilder up. He hasn't pushed it. He's had one decent looking fights.
I don't know about you guys, but I do not want to see Dillian Whyte versus either Joshua or Wilder, because that's going to be a terrible fight, and he's getting slept for the 6th round. He's not on that level. The guy's a domestic, maybe European level fighter at best. I don't think.
I think a good fight would be for if Fury comes back and Dillian Whyte. I think I read about that. I wouldn't mind seeing that rather than Fury fighting a bum or someone who's just there to get knocked out. I'd rather see him fight someone like Dillian Whyte. But
that'd be a good fight. I mean, Hay was trying to make Joyce Chisora, and seeing as Chisora and Whyte basically could have gone either way. I thought Chisora clearly won the fight, but it could have gone either way. Maybe they're gonna want to take on Dillian Whyte.
I don't think Eddie Hearn will put that. I think the different stages of his career. Chisora lost again to someone recently. I can't remember who it was. I think in Monaco. I think Chisora is on that.
Ajit Kabayel, he was the European champion from Germany.
Right.
Chisora is on that decline. Yeah, and Chisora's. I think I was just going to say, I think it was
the end of his career. A horrible card. I think it was just a horrible card, to be honest with you. Another British card.
Dillian Whyte's going to throw a jab. Look, Dillian Whyte's going to throw a jab, and Deontay Wilder's going to throw a counter right hand over that jab, and the fight's over. Like, he's dreadful. The guy can't box. Like, I know it sounds like I'm hating, and you know, you guys, especially from the UK, you like the guy. He's a nice guy and all that, but every time he throws the jab, he's off balance. Every time he throws a jab, every time he throws a hook, he's off balance. I mean, he's slow. He's wide open for shots. He's got no defense. I mean, Wilder's going to murder him. Like, why would I want to see that? It's going to be another, you know, Eric Molina in there. Can he beat Eric Molina? Let's see that. You know what I mean? Can he beat Chris Arreola? I don't think he's any better than, you know, Chris Arreola, to be honest. I mean, at this point, Chris Arreola, yeah, but...
a good fight would be Carlos Takam and Dillian Whyte. I think...
Who has Dillian Whyte beat?
I was just going to say that precise. I was going to say, which fight of Dillian Whyte have you seen that impressed you?
Yeah.
I've never been impressed.
I'm not trying to hate on the guy. I understand you guys, some of you guys are fans, but like, who has he beaten?
Well, I'm not a fan.
I agree.
What have he done?
I told you before the fight happened that Dillian Whyte's got horrible footwork, that he's always off balance when he's throwing his shots. He lunges in. I told you all these things.
No, but
so it's no surprise to me.
Even his
hang on
shots,
a sec,
they're like arm punches. They're not proper.
Yeah, he's living off that left hook he landed on Anthony Joshua when Joshua was a complete novice. That's what he's living off.
He's basically a street fighter.
I'm not trying to hate.
A street fighter that's kind of hot.
Yeah, and it shows. Like, his jab is just horrendous. I mean, it was better than Lucas Browne's jab, but yeah.
Come on.
I'm not trying to shit on the guy. I just don't want to see another complete mismatch, you know? Prove something before you get in there with... Say what you will about Deontay Wilder. At this point in time, he's world class. And Dillian Whyte has not proved that he is.
I don't disagree, but I think a lot of blame...
Fury versus Sexton for the British title.
Yeah, I think a lot of blame should be put on Eddie Hearn as well, because he's trying to... I don't think it's AJ, but he's trying to use Dillian Whyte to make him fight Wilder and try and see if he could get some flow. He done this with Bellew with against Hay when Hay was trying to fight Joshua, and I think Eddie Hearn is a very stubborn matchmaker, and he knows how to. He's a very good matchmaker. He's very clever, and he knows what he's doing. So I think it's probably his idea to. Think is the only thing. I don't think Dillian Whyte is a mandatory challenger, so I don't think that fight will probably be next. If it's Brazil, then I think Waldo will probably have to take that fight. But then by that time, by the summer, maybe Joshua might have a mandatory. I think Povetkin's on the undercard, so I think they need to hurry up with this whole situation. Like obviously Joshua's got his unification next week. Deontay Wilder, he needs to try and map out his next couple of fights if he's not fighting Joshua next. Then, because this could drag on. If Joshua's got 3 belts after next week, if he wins, then he's gonna have to think about defending some of those belts and making mandatory challenges. And then I think we'll probably have to watch like a Wilder Whyte fight. I still think Whyte. I'd rather see him fight someone else. Before, if he is going to fight like someone more credible. I thought Lucas Browne was way out of shape. He looked like he did not train a day. I don't know the difference between that Lucas Browne and the Stavin that Wilder fought in the rematch. I don't think there's much difference. Probably a little bit different.
Neither guy came to win, and neither guy really proved anything. Look, maybe if Joseph Parker loses, or when he does, maybe he could fight Joseph Parker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
maybe.
Does anyone think Whyte beats Joseph Parker?
No, not a chance.
If Anthony Joshua destroys Joseph Parker, maybe, you know what I mean? If he beats half of his career out of him, maybe. But at this point in time, no.
All right, now listen. I'm gonna. Cameron is in the chat, and so I gotta ask. I gotta do the intro here.
Cameron Gillon. Cameron Gillon.
He looks like he put steroids in his chip.
All right, we got Cameron. Cameron, we're talking about what. First of all, thank you for being here. We're talking about how good Dillian Whyte is, and who can he beat and who can't he beat. We're pretty sure he can't beat Wilder or Anthony Joshua. Would you agree with that, or would you disagree with that?
First off, Lucas Browne was absolute dog shit. I thought Whyte. I picked Whyte to win on points tonight. I thought it'd be a really dull fight. But Lucas Browne was just diabolical. He was slow. He was overweight. I mean, he was slow in general, but he was just awful tonight. I mean, Dillian Whyte. I will give Dillian Whyte credit because I put on Twitter during the fight. He did box a lot more patient than he has done in the past. Like usually he throws wild haymakers and he's all over the place and he's sloppy. He doesn't usually jab that much. Whereas tonight he did what he had to do. I thought he boxed quite well. Didn't really help with the fact that Lucas Browne didn't offer him anything back to him, but I thought he looked good in terms of what he had to do. And I thought it was good matchmaking, to be fair, in hindsight for Eddie Hearn, because Lucas Browne was, in the end, made Dillian Whyte look excellent. And obviously he needed a performance like that. Now they're talking about him fighting for a world title. We needed a performance like that. But in terms of does he beat Joshua or Wilder, well, he's already been beat by Joshua, hasn't he? Wilder, no, I'd favour Wilder in that fight as well. But no, Dillian Whyte, I thought he looked good tonight, to be honest. But I don't think he beats Joshua or Wilder. But I was going to pick him.
Yeah, that's true. And listen, you hit the nail right on the head. Everybody's saying Lucas Browne, and really, the eye test doesn't lie. The guy looked fat. It looked like he didn't even train. This is what was going on through his head every time he looked at himself in the mirror. This is the voice he heard. I mean, I don't even know if he trained the guy, and who knows what he was. No, that's the problem with this. A lot of these heavyweights. This isn't the Vitaly Vladimir Klitschko era anymore, or the pre-Tyson era, post Larry Holmes, where people could just come in and not train and everything. You got to train because you're fighting giants like Anthony Joshua, Deontay Wilder, Jarrell Big Baby Miller. You got to come in shape. You got to come in with good stamina, good technique, snap on your shots. And Lucas Browne, look, I feel a little bad for the guy because he really did try his best to wing his slow shots in there, but there was just no way he was going to beat Dillian Whyte. And if he can't beat Dillian Whyte, I'm sorry, he doesn't belong anywhere near the top 10 heavyweights. Nowhere near.
Well, I mean, I said it during the fight. I said that he did like Lucas Browne because he was making Dillian Whyte look like a prime Roy Jones Jr. for reflexes and counter punching. That's how bad he was. That's how bad he was tonight, Lucas Browne. Dillian Whyte was countering it with ease. He was picking Browne off. He was busting his face up after the second round. I think he was even his left eye was even swelling up during the first round. So it was poor from Lucas Browne. I mean, I expected more. I think everybody did. But then again, Dillian Whyte moved on.
But now, hold on a second. Did people really expect more?
Look how lazy Lucas Browne's jab was. He was just pushing it out, just basically lunging in with it. And anyone with a decent right hand or a good counter shot is going to fucking tag Lucas Browne up. And that's what happened. I mean, it was the way he went down. That I don't think it was down to Dillian Whyte's awesome power. I think it was more down to the point that he'd shot his bolt, had no energy left, had no desire left. And basically, it was one of them where hurry up, Dillian, and get me out of here. And that's what it was.
Yeah, he was like Butterbean in that ring, wasn't he? Lucas Browne, he looked like Butterbean.
Yeah, that's what Stu said too. Like from afar, it seemed like it was Butterbean in there, except with tattoos. It was really. I mean,
he was shocking. Like, as soon as after the first 20 seconds, you could tell the way we thought it was going to go. He was shocking in there. He looked bad. Not just, you know, boxing wise, in shape wise, he looked bad. He was just awful. Absolutely awful.
I mean, there's rumours that he was getting knocked around by Derek Chisora in sparring. Apparently, got knocked clean out by Chisora. I'm not sure if it's true or not, but that was the rumours.
Well, the thing is, I mean, Lucas Browne. I mean, I don't like digging at fighters, you know what I mean? But that was just, you know, it was on paper it was supposed to be a good fight, and he turns up like that. It didn't even look like he even trained. He came in heavy, and yeah, it was just abysmal. I don't want to see Lucas Browne fight again, to be honest. Not after that.
That makes me wonder about some of these fighters that get opportunities like this and they don't even take it seriously at all. Like they don't even, you know, make an effort to get in shape and to, you know, have a bit of fire in your belly. They just show up for the money, basically.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a good point. And Precise said that to his eyes, it looked like Browne just sort of gave up at the end. And you know, I'm not saying, like he said, it's not that it wasn't a hard shot, but the way he flopped. I mean, I don't know. I'm gonna have to rewatch it, but it just seemed like he went in there for the payday. Maybe he did try for the first 3 rounds, and after that, when he started taking a beating, I think he just said, you know what, I'm not gonna make it 12. I might as well just lay down now, collect my paycheck, and get the hell out of here. But the question remains, Dillian Whyte, do you think, because you guys clarify something for me, because I don't follow who's the #1 contender for this belt or for that belt. Dillian Whyte, does he become the #1 something after this win, or is he already #1 in an organization?
He's already #1 with the BC. He's got that silver belt. He had it before the fight, so he just currently keeps his rankings. So whether or not they force a mandatory on Wilder or he has to fight a final eliminator, I don't know. But in my opinion, I think they'll try and make the Wilder fight.
Right.
Well, Wilder has to fight his mandatory next. I mean, he has to. Unless it's a big unification, they step aside mandatories for unifications against, say, Joshua. Fight happens, and they will. But Wilder does have to fight Dillian Whyte eventually, because he's the one that's. Yeah, he does have to fight him eventually, I think.
Yeah,
either way, whether he beats Joshua or not.
But do any of you guys actually think he can beat Wilder? Or what chance does he have? Or you just want like a fighter that you cape for to get a payday? Like, I don't understand. And look, if he's the #1 contender, fuck it, you know, let's get it. But I'm just so not excited about the
but the thing is,
fight,
he was excited about Luis Ortiz. And let's keep it real. Luis Ortiz come to England and absolutely fucking stunk the joint out. Went 10 rounds with Dave Allen, one of the biggest bums in the British heavyweight division, a punching bag. Got rocked to his boots by Dave Allen. Couldn't touch Malik Scott for 12 rounds. Couldn't touch him.
No, he did touch him.
That sounds like my prediction for the fight. Stu, you're reciting my prediction for the fight, bro. I was not excited about that fight at all.
Dave Allen. It was Dillian Whyte that went the distance with Dave Allen, Stuart. Luis Ortiz stopped him.
Yeah, I gotta disagree with
you're right. He did stop him, but did Luis Ortiz look good in there? Was he getting rocked himself?
Shit, but he got. All I'm saying is that Dillian Whyte went the distance
Yeah, I got it mixed up. It was Dillian Whyte. It was Dillian
How about
Whyte.
Whyte? How about Whyte?
Luis Ortiz has had one good performance against Jennings. That's it. One good performance.
He also knocked out Thompson. He's looked better. I don't think you can compare Dillian Whyte. Dillian Whyte has looked trashed in majority of his fights against club fighters. I mean, guys like Ian Lewis and who was like way overweight. I mean, if anyone thinks Lucas Browne is overweight, and it took him about 10 rounds to knock him out. Dillian Whyte is trash. I don't want to see him fight Wilder. I don't care. I'm just gonna call it how it is. I mean,
it's just a mismatch. Thing.
It's Eddie Hearn's politics that have got him number one. I don't think he's worthy. I mean, he went life and death with Chisora. If that has warranted him a number one spot, then I don't know how these rankings work.
I just think the only way trash. I just think the heavyweight division's shit. Like, if you take out Joshua, Fury, and Wilder, the division is just absolutely horrendous. Absolutely terrible.
I mean, Pulev I'd probably even rate much better than what's his name, Dillian Whyte. I mean, he beat Chisora convincingly. I know Pulev's had his problems, but I mean, there are about 4 or 5 fighters I can name that are above him. I mean, the only thing I'll say, if the Joshua Wilder fight doesn't happen and Wilder's looking for an opponent, then I mean, you might as well just get it over and done with, because this whole thing is just dragging on. I think Whyte will get knocked out inside 5 rounds. I think maybe he might have a puncher's chance, but I don't think he's anywhere near the. I mean, Luis Ortiz was quite old. Let's not get it wrong. And he looked quite bad in some of those fights, but I think it might have been to do with motivation. And the guy he was fighting, Malik Scott, is known to be a guy to stink out the joint. The only thing I'd say is Luis Ortiz has got much more skills, and Dillian Whyte has got nothing on Luis Ortiz. And Luis Ortiz is in all of that as well. I'm not saying he's like the complete article, but he's got a good extensive amateur career. He's beaten decent quality fighters. I mean, Dillian Whyte has looked bad. I don't think you could compare Whyte to Ortiz. And I think if Whyte fought Ortiz would have done a number on him.
Yeah, let's get that fight. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I'm picking Dillian Whyte. I don't even really rate Dillian Whyte. I don't really rate him that much. I don't rate Ortiz at all.
I mean, Ortiz is done now. Ortiz has been knocked out now.
Alright, guys, we gotta.
Dillian Whyte's got faster hands than Luis Ortiz, then.
Right. Now, let me just state something right now here, because we have a full house, so we're going to have to really keep it in moderation to see who talks first, because sometimes we talk over each other and we don't realize it, because on Hangouts it's sort of it's kind of hard sometimes to listen to who's talking. So let's try to keep it together here, because we like I said, we got a full house. Yeah, like you said, Hamed, this whole thing, heavyweight division, really, it's kind of hard to predict. But look, I'm reading the chat, and a lot of people are downgrading Wilder. And yes, like I've said, his technique sucks, and we can talk about whether Ortiz was a good win or a bad win, but at the end of the day, Wilder took him out. And at least he proved, he's not gonna lay down for anybody. Would it be fair to say that right now, Anthony Joshua and Deontay Wilder, even though we still have questions about them, are a level above the rest of everybody? Anybody?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't go that far. Yeah, I think I still think there's a couple of good fighters. I mean, you still got Povetkin there. If he's fighting Price, I mean, you still got Fury to come back. I think you probably got like a couple of decent fighters, maybe not better than Whyte, I'd say. I don't think the gap between Whyte and Wilder and Joshua is the rest of the top 10. I think there's about maybe 3 or 4 more other fighters you could probably say are better than Dillian Whyte and that kind of level of opposition.
All right, yeah, that's a first statement. Look, to continue this conversation, let's look at the rankings from Ring Magazine here. Again, Konaki, I haven't really seen him. Even from 2 weeks ago, I said that I hadn't seen him fight. I still haven't seen most of his fights, only the, what was it, the guy that lost to Wilder, the Pole, I can't believe I'm forgetting his name. But anyway, yeah, that guy. Jerome Miller, Dominic Brazil, Dillian Whyte, Pulev, Ortiz, Povetkin, Parker, Wilder, and Joshua. We're going to talk more later this week and next week about Parker versus Joshua. Pulev, I'm not all that impressed with him, although he's a big guy and he's, you know what, he's not bad technically. Would you say Pulev and Ortiz are on the same level?
I think Povetkin. I think Povetkin's the third best fighter in the world, and after that, we're struggling.
That says a lot as well. I think Povetkin's. Yeah, I think he's poor in his last few fights.
Povetkin's.
I forget though, Povetkin's nearly 40. I mean, he's what, 38, 39 now, and he has like an aggressive style which isn't known to age well. So you can assume that Povetkin's on the slide now.
100%.
I mean, Fury, even that out of shape Fury, would probably be. I don't know if that's a good or bad thing. That if he comes back, he probably arguably the best heavyweight. I mean, even if he comes back and I don't know has one fight, he's still the lineal champion. I think the whole thing needs result. Fury going on for a really long time.
Right, go ahead.
Fury's a difference between. Sorry, P. Go on.
I'm not picking him to, but I think Price could prove to be a very difficult fight for Povetkin at this stage. I mean,
but Price got knocked out by Hammer, and I don't think he looked that good.
How tall is Hammer?
A complete shot Povetkin will knock Price out. No problem at all.
Probably, but look, Price.
And Price is like 6'9", well over like 300 pounds. He's got a massive size advantage over Povetkin. I mean, he's like 7 or 8 inches taller than him, whereas Christian Hammer was, I think, 6'4", something like that. Like, if you look at the Povetkin Hammer fight, which was his last fight, Hammer was able to old man his way through that fight by holding and just by being the bigger guy, and Povetkin wasn't really able to hurt him at all. So, at least you can say David Price has a big size advantage in that fight and a big weight advantage, which will certainly make it interesting. But I'm still picking Povetkin to break him down.
Yeah,
the problem with more
David
than anything,
Price,
psychologically, probably, right? Because Price is just soft. But like, if the guy had a little bit of heart, there's no way in hell a guy like Povetkin should be beating someone like David Price if he had heart. I know he doesn't, and I know but I mean, he's like 6'9", huge reach advantage. All he has to do is stick his jab out there, and Povetkin won't be able to hit him. How's he gonna hit him?
But the problem with David.
All right, hold on. Let Stu talk, because he's been wanting to say something. Go ahead, Stu.
The problem with David Price, he could be winning 11 and a half rounds, and he gets caught with just a grazing blow, and he's asleep for 20 minutes. And let's be real, the guy's got a terrible chin. I'm convinced if Malignaggi caught him, he'd knock him. Right? David Price, he's got no confidence. He gets that nervous before a fight. He actually burns away half his tank before he even gets in the ring.
I mean, against Hammer, he gave up. He didn't get knocked out. Really.
With the heavyweight division, Tyson Fury, Tyson Fury coming back and do the difference between an average division and a very good division. Because when you put Tyson Fury looking good in with Anthony Joshua and then Deontay Wilder, you're talking three big fighters there, and it makes the division look quite decent. I think the problem is now all we've got is Joshua and Wilder at the moment. Povetkin's looking old, like you said. David Price will never be in the conversation. I don't care about size. I know the guy when he went to Germany and got knocked out cold by some guy that was about 5'11", 6 foot. Yeah, and that guy's not a big guy. That guy's a small guy, and he fucking slept Price.
He was a big guy. Erkan Tepa's about 6'4". He's a lot bigger and a lot heavier than Povetkin. Like, Erkan Tepa's quite a big guy. I've actually seen a picture of him and Povetkin together, and I'm pretty sure that he was considerably bigger than Povetkin at least. I mean, obviously next to David Price, he looks small because Price is just such a fucking monster. Like, you guys, like I said, Price is taller than Tyson Fury. He's got longer arms. He's fucking massive. And like you say, he's got a shit chin. But against a guy like Povetkin, who's about 6'1", maybe even shorter, that's got to be a psychological advantage if he's able to hold and like I say, he might old man his way through the fight just by being big and just by being heavy and the fact he's at home. I don't think
David Price has got the know-how to do that. When have you ever seen David Price do that in a fight? Now, David Price either wins by KO or he gets slapped.
Povetkin's at a stage of his career now where he could get old overnight. I mean, like I said, he's like 39, isn't he? So I'm not saying that Price will win. I'm picking Povetkin to stop him. I'm just saying that I think that it's a high risk, low reward type of fight for Povetkin.
Yeah, like Stu, nobody's picking David Price. We're just saying, like, this could very well prove to be a very difficult fight for Povetkin. And let's get something straight here. If he doesn't knock him out, he doesn't get a decision. Let's not fuck around. You know what I mean?
But then how good is Hammer then? I mean, Hammer looked bad against Fury. He knocked him out in 4 rounds.
Yeah, but Fury's a
no. Wait, let me finish. Then Hammer does a good job on Price. I know Price was gassed out and he knocked him down. I didn't watch the Povetkin fight. I haven't really watched the last couple of Povetkin fights, but from what I'm hearing, he's given Povetkin a really good fight. I know Fury is a good fighter and you can't compare him to the other two, but Fury knocked him out quite cleanly, and Fury I don't think is as big as a puncher as the other two heavyweights in the division. And I thought Hammer wasn't that good. But
didn't Hammer quit on his stool against Fury? I can't remember that fight, but I think that Hammer quit on his stool, or his corner pulled him out or something.
No, I think Fury stopped him. I think Fury stopped him in the 9th.
Oh, did he? I can't remember that. It was a while ago.
Was it 9? I thought it was quicker than that. Can't really remember. But
no, it was in the 9th. So I'm pretty sure it was a 9th round.
Yeah, but Hammer didn't look. He looked really out of his depth. Like the level was way. It looked like Hammer was I wouldn't even say a top 20 fighter. But I was gonna say another thing is looking at the rankings. I think if he looks good against Bellew and does a number, I think he could get back into the picture, and that just shows how weak the division is. I mean, take Joshua Wilder out, I don't think the top 10 are that strong. I mean, there's a lot of them that have got losses.
When you've got guys like Ruslan Chagayev, who was able to almost came really close to beating Lucas Browne, who just fought in that eliminator tonight. I mean, Ruslan Chagayev during the Klitschko era was nobody. He was just a paper champion. You saw how easily Vladimir and Povetkin were able to do him in. So, when you've got a guy like Chagayev, who's got so many health issues, still being able to compete in this era, it shows you how shitty this era is in heavyweight boxing. I mean, the
Prime Eddie Chambers would be the number 3 heavyweight today, man. Prime fucking Eddie Chambers, and that's a blown up light heavyweight. Let's keep it real, man.
I want to ask Nicola Ferrari. After watching Derek Chisora today, does he still think he's better than Joe Frazier? There's a question for him.
Yeah, good question. Very good question.
Chisora's been shot for years now. Let's not fuck around, man. Let's talk about Chisora when he was fighting Tyson Fury, the first time around, and that was a completely different fighter.
I think Chisora who fought Vitali, that was probably his best performance.
Yeah. I mean, let's not forget that was a
Helenius.
That was a 42-year-old Vitali on the verge of retirement, and he still won pretty much every round against Chisora. So I don't think that Chisora has ever been, a legitimate contender. I think he's just a tough guy that comes to scrap and comes to fight, but he's never had any real skill. His technique's awful, and he's lost every big fight he's ever had. I mean, he lost to fucking
Yeah, and let's be real, he's ducking. He's doing everything in his power to duck Joe Joyce. He's ducking him. I don't care. He's putting out demands that you can't match them demands that he's putting out. So it's basically like when Wilder said he wanted 50-50. He's basically ducking the fight.
I think he's playing hard to get. I think he'll take the fight if Hay gives him maybe $100,000. I don't know if the money's there, but I think he will take the fight if he just gives him enough.
I think he wants.
He got offered $100,000. He's been offered that already.
Yeah, he's been offered that.
He wants more than that.
What does he want? $1 million?
I think the division is really bad, man. Just looking at, I mean, all right, people are saying Hay is done. Okay, that's debatable. Hay has got his last chance with Bellew. I mean, even if he looks anywhere as bad as anywhere remotely near as the first fight, I think he's probably done. But I mean, take Hay out the picture. Bellew obviously is not a heavyweight. I think Bellew said if he wins, he wants to fight Ward. I don't know about that. If Ward is retired, but I mean, you got about 4 or 5 heavyweights. I mean, if Parker next week, one of them is gonna lose. Majority are picking Joshua to win. He is a heavy favorite. I mean, if Parker gets knocked out quite spectacularly or badly, I can't think of more than about 4 or 5 heavyweights, and then you got to take about 2 of them, 2 of the champions out. It's a very weak division. Yeah. Let's not get.
You see David Hay. You see David Hay, right? The reason why we can't talk about this guy because he had a chance to come into this division. No, we can't talk about him. He's a clown. he had a chance to come into this division and light it up a bit, get some big fights going. He was old when he came back, and he's wasted 3 years of his life on Tony fucking Bellew. He's wasted 3 years of his career on Tony fucking Bellew, mate. At the end of the day, he's in it for the money. He's not in it for titles. He can talk about Joshua and Wilder all he likes. He's going to ride off into the sunset after the Bellew fight, mate, because he's too old as it is. He should have got in there 2 or 3 years ago with these boys when he could have beat them. He could have beat them. I would have picked him to win, but not now.
Mate, there are guys at cruiserweight that would beat David Haye handily. Like, I would even take Marco Huck over David Haye. I'm not even kidding. I guarantee. I would take any of the top 10, top 15 cruiserweight champions over David Haye any day.
I don't know about top 10.
I think Marco Huck is completely shot. I think
Marco Huck's tailor-made. He's tailor-made for David Haye. David Haye would sleep.
I'll tell you one thing, he's got better stamina and a better chin and probably better technique than David Haye as well. I mean, Marco Huck has shown over the years he's got great stamina and he's durable and he can duke it out. Whereas David Haye, whenever he's been in that kind of fight, he's faltered. I mean, have you guys seen David Haye's fight against Carl Thompson?
I don't know about that. I think that's a bit out. I think.
Pressure. Like the guy.
No, I think he fought with a broken Achilles tendon. I mean, he could have quit if he wanted to. So I think the whole thing is that. I'd say one thing. I think the winner of the cruiserweight tournament might be a big player in the division, especially if it's Usyk, who looked quite good against Joe Joyce in the amateurs. So he could fight.
Nowhere near big enough. Nowhere near big enough.
No, but Usyk, I think.
Usyk is, but Gassiev, nowhere near.
I think Dorticos, if he could maybe move up, and I'm not saying he's gonna be light up the division, but I think he could probably compete at heavyweight if he could get it. But since he got knocked out so badly, I don't know if he's the same. He's probably damaged goods, but
Brader slept Char at heavyweight.
Yeah, and Char's a heavyweight champion now. That's another thing. A 42-year-old Vitaly Klitschko on the verge of retirement was able to stop Char in 4 rounds. And Char's one of the heavyweight champions now. I mean, that just goes to show you the state of the division, doesn't it? I mean, the heavyweight division is basically wide open. There's no talent there.
Well, I have to disagree. There is talent, man. There is talent. And by the way, I gotta tell Nordic Warrior, first of all, Nordic, we can hear what you're saying, but it sounds like you're far away. And people in the chat are saying that it sounds like you're in a submarine. I think there's you still have some connection issues there. Because for a while you were sounding good, but now it's sounding a little bit more.
Are you close to the mic?
Yeah, are you close?
I'll try and sit a little bit closer to the mic. Can you guys hear me better like this?
A little bit.
Are you in like an empty room with no furniture or something?
No, I'm in my spare room, and there's not much in here, to be honest.
Yeah, that's why it sounds like that.
Yeah, maybe try to get to the mic as close as possible. Make love to the microphone, and maybe that'll help if you get closer to it.
Next week, buy some furniture for next week.
All right. Well, listen, you guys are saying that. Yeah, all right. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. We'll work this out. So, okay, you guys are saying that the heavyweight division isn't that fantastic, and I can agree with that. But I still maintain that it's better than what we had 10, 15 years ago. We have some exciting punchers. We have some big guys that can move a little bit, and that can definitely punch. So we'll see. We'll have to see what happens with that one. I got a question though. Between, let's say, Joshua and Parker, which we're gonna talk about that fight more next week as it gets closer. How good is Joshua? Because here's the thing: are you guys expecting him to beat Parker? Joshua, that is. Are you expecting him to beat Parker? And are you gonna give him credit, or is it gonna be like what we had right now with Dillian-Whyte against Browne, which is, hey, he was supposed to do it?
No, he gets credit from me. Definitely gets credit from me. I mean, Joseph Parker he's no fucking mug, you know. This guy is going to come to fight, and it's a good win if Joshua gets to win. I expect Joshua to get the win, but Joseph Parker's no mug. He's a tough guy. He's got an engine. So yeah.
All right, there you go.
I think it's a good one. Yeah, I think it's a good legacy win because, I mean, Parker's unbeaten. He's a world champion, and he's proven on the road. I mean, he won his last fight in the UK against a guy who was awkward and slippery and difficult to hit. So I think if Joshua was able to knock him out, then that's a real good statement and a real good legacy win.
Yeah, it's going to be a good win on paper, but you have to see the fight. before you could really say anything about it. You know what I mean? But on paper, it looks good. You can't deny it. And now that Parker has his bionic elbows, who knows? Who knows? Maybe he'll knock
he looks in apparently he's in fantastic shape as well.
Yeah, he does.
He looks in really good shape. So
I think Parker is a live dog. I think Parker might beat him, or might do something that a lot of people don't expect. I think we could get a much closer fight than people think. I just think the size might be the big difference, and I think maybe the officiating could be a problem. I think if it's the closest fight as the Hughie Fury fight, I don't think Parker will get the benefit of the doubt. I'm not too sure if Joshua can knock him out. He might knock him out, but I don't know. I think Parker, I've seen some things in a couple of videos I was just studying. I think Parker's got some things I think Parker looks better against guys who come to him. He's not really that good. Same could be said for Joshua, but Parker, I thought against Hughie Fury, that was stylistically a tough matchup, and I think Hughie Fury would probably give Joshua some problems as well. And he was landing some very good right hands. I think we should find out the first right hand that lands on Joshua. If he could hit him, then it could be an interesting fight. At the moment, I think Joshua's maybe the size is a bit too much. I think Parker's not big enough.
I disagree about Joshua. I don't think Joshua can fight on the back foot. I've yet to see Joshua look like he can fight on the back foot. I think Joshua's a come forward fighter. All right, he's not a brawler. He uses his brain and he's patient at times, but I just don't see him as a back foot fighter. So I think to beat Joshua, I think you do have to push him back, get on his chest, rough him up, and test that tank, because we know his tank can be a bit vulnerable. Do you know what I mean? All that muscle he's carrying. This is why he's losing all that muscle, because it's not good for him. It's blowing him out for 4 or 5 rounds.
Could Parker do enough to win rounds? That's the question.
It's getting him through. It's only his youth that when he's going to be able to do that.
Parker could win 12 rounds and he's not going to get the decision. So he better not go in there thinking. That he could win a decision or try to win rounds. Because if he does, then that's just nonsense. Like, let's just keep it real. Wilder Joshua is a huge fight. No way anybody gets a decision against Wilder or Joshua until that fight happens. I don't care what anybody says. There's no way in hell that happens.
Let's not forget too that the UK is known for these, dubious stoppages. I mean, Joshua could land a 2-punch combination and the ref could just jump in and wave it off for no reason at all. I mean, that's been the norm over here for God knows how long.
It's not a
same with Wilder.
Yeah.
We're too dramatic over here.
Well, Joshua
masks come out today. Look at all them oxygen masks are out today. You would have thought Lucas Browne had fucking died or shot in the head. I mean, it's so dramatic, flying in, don't they? They keep him on the ground for about 20 minutes. They didn't even have the dignity to show us a replay of the knockout until he got up. I had to wait 20 minutes to see the knockout.
I can guarantee you, see if they have Howard Foster or someone as the referee, then you know what the script is, don't you?
No. It's an Italian referee. I was gonna say, I don't think since it's not a British referee, I don't think we'll get that. But it depends how good the referee. If he's a good referee, decent referee, then I think we'll get a fair fight. Like today, I thought that referee could have stopped it a bit earlier if he wanted to. I mean, Lucas Browne was no way he was gonna win that fight. I mean, he was getting hurt. I mean, the corner could have stopped it actually, but the referee I think did an okay job. For people that want to see fights end conclusively, then I think you could look at it from that point of view. He done okay, because a lot of British referees have been known to stop fights way too early, and I don't think British referees are good. I think they probably got the worst referees. I could only think of probably one or
Hamid. They're told to do it, mate. They're told by the board to do it because they've been sued. We've got to remember, Frank Warren had to rescue the British Board of Control because Michael Watson got brain damage. Gerald McClelland was we all know what happened to him, and it was basically in British rings, and it basically crippled the British Board of Control. So they're telling these referees, as soon as a fighter looks like he's going to be hurt, you step in. And this is the problem. This way, if you want a big fight, you do have to take it to the States.
No, but
really,
the Americans. True, but what about Frost Groves? I mean, come on, no one could justify that stoppage. I mean, one guy getting beaten up.
I've just justified it. I've just told you why they do it. I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying
no, but
I was horrified by it. But that's why they do it.
That was a political stoppage. That was Eddie Hearn. Howard Foster was in Eddie Hearn's pocket because Carl Froch was Eddie Hearn's biggest draw, biggest ticket seller, and he didn't want Groves to upset that. So obviously, because Froch got dropped and Froch was hurt many times in that fight, and there was many times where Howard Foster could have stepped in and waved it off. But the very first time where Groves looked as if he was in trouble, he stepped in and waved the fight off. So you know that there was look
at Buglioni today, Frank Buglioni today. I mean, still on his feet, still. I mean, even when they stopped, he was dancing around the ring. I know the towel was thrown in, but for me, that's not going to be stopped. These guys, you got to go and put on a show. I mean, I'm sorry, but if it means Frank Buglioni getting knocked the fuck out, then so be it. This is
why didn't he stop the fight when Froch got dropped? Froch was hit for 7-8 rounds. Froch lands 2 punches. Forget politics. I know that probably got played a part, but I mean, that was something to do with the referee. I think I don't know why if something.
It has nothing. It has nothing to do with fighter safety. This has nothing to do with fighter safety because in Britain, from what I've seen, they've been having quick stoppages and people dying simultaneously for like the last 4 or 5 years. So it has nothing to do with what they're being told to do, other than the promoter telling them, well, you don't even have to tell them that. They know what's going on. You know what I mean? If there's a major A side fighting a B side, the first chance to get to stop the fight, they will. But if you're the one beating up on the A side, and you could say the same thing for Wilder in America, because coincidentally, if you believe that it was a coincidence, the same referee that reffed Klitschko Joshua was the same referee in the Wilder Ortiz fight. So it's not fighter safety, because if they really cared about fighter safety, Lucas Browne would have never been sanctioned to step in that ring, because there's no way in hell that fat ass passed the medical. I'm sorry.
I mean, they let Ruslan Chagayev fight with all the health issues he has. So it's never about fighter safety anywhere in the world, is it?
It's true.
By the way,
my point is with this, we stop fights a lot earlier. You can talk about corrupt. I mean, if we're just going to say everyone's corrupt, why even bother fucking talking about this sport? Why watch it? You know, you can't, conspiracy theories are all great, but you can't conspiracize against everybody. You know, at the end of the day, it's not always the case. There's fights in England that I've seen that have been stopped prematurely, and it's not because of conspiracies, because these bums they're not worth anything. Why are we going to do a conspiracy for a guy that's worth a couple of grand a fight? The fact is, it's from the start, since I've been watching boxing from them days live. Fights are getting stopped too early in this country, and it's all down to the British Border Control, worried about being sued, worried about another fighter being hurt.
No, why not?
Obviously, you got your corruption involved as well. Of course you have, but that's the way I see it.
Why not stop it when they just go down then? Forget even counting. I mean, did anyone see the DeGale and what was that guy's name? Was it Brandon Gonzalez on the undercard of, incidentally, of Froch Groves too? That was one of the worst stoppages as well. I mean, he gets knocked down, gets up, then there's like one shot lands, and I mean,
I can understand. I can understand what you boys are saying in a big fight. When it's Froch Groves, I understand it could be corruption. But when it's two guys that have probably worth $2,000 a fight and it's being stopped early, what's the method behind that? It's you know, this country is known for early stoppages, and it's just simple as that.
Like, have you ever seen the Enzo Macronelli Oval McKenzie fight, the first fight?
Yeah.
You seen that stoppage, man? What the fuck was that?
That's probably the worst. That's
James DeGale against Carl Wilkes, I know.
And by the way, let me ask you something. Didn't Tommy Morrison fight with AIDS? Or not AIDS, HIV or one of those? I always get confused.
That's the story, yeah.
He fought with AIDS, right?
HIV.
I mean, really, what the fuck? I mean, if you're fighting with AIDS or HIV or whatever you want to call it, something is wrong here, man.
Man, everybody got AIDS and shit.
No, really, that's fucking dangerous, man.
Yeah, what about the blood test? Why weren't he getting blood tests? Or was he getting blood tested and cheating the system? But it's a disgraceful thing he did. I mean, I don't know. Is he dead now?
Yeah, he's dead.
He's dead.
His son is a heavyweight now, a fighter.
Well, I don't know what he is, because he's a piece of shit.
Oh.
Anyone that does that gets AIDS. sleeping with loads of prostitutes, gets AIDS, and then goes to the ring with people. This guy's he's a piece of shit, mate. I hope he dies soon of AIDS.
He died already.
He betrayed Rocky too.
He died. He betrayed. He betrayed Rocky.
He claimed that he got AIDS from steroid needles. He said that he was injecting steroids and that was how he got AIDS. That was his cover story. Anyway.
Wow, bullshit.
Bull fucking shit.
Who was he sharing his needle with? Fucking Freddie Mercury.
Oh man.
So, I mean, the guy he was fucking prostitutes. That's what he was doing. Sluts off the street because he was a popular guy after the Rocky film. Because he was a fighter, good-looking guy. He was getting women. He was sleeping with everyone, and he had AIDS, and he was giving women AIDS, and he was going in the ring with fighting guys who've got families and kids and wives, and he's putting their lives at risk as well. He's a piece of shit. I wish nothing but the worst in life for him. Yeah. If he is alive, I don't even know if he's alive anymore because I'm not bothered.
No, he died. I told you he died. He's dead. He croaked a couple of years ago.
Die. Yeah, I thought. Yeah, I heard something. Like I said, not really bothered. Just what he did was disgraceful.
Well, there you have it. And by the way, I just want to remind people we got Ray on the line. Ray, are you there?
Yep, I'm here.
All right, thanks for joining us, man. We were just on a roll here talking about fighter safety and how these commissions are very, very corrupt. Speaking of corruption, I'm sure you're all familiar with the news that transpired early this week. Canelo has been temporarily suspended by the Nevada State Athletic Commission, and I don't know if you guys heard the intro of the show where I was making fun of the Nevada State Athletic Commission, because this is all, I don't know, you guys tell me, and I already know what Precise thinks because he made a video about it. Go check out his website, but it just smells like this is a whole circus, and the Nevada State Athletic Commission is trying to show the people, hey, no, really, we're taking this seriously. What are the chances that the fight doesn't happen?
None.
Slim to none.
None.
There you go.
As soon as the positive test came out, the WBC and the WBA were already defending Canelo. They were already fighting his corner within hours. So you know that Canelo is fucking being protected no matter what, and he's gonna get off scot-free.
It's a joke. It's the O.J. Simpson trial.
Honestly, I just don't really care about this fight at all now. To be honest, I don't care if it happens or it doesn't happen.
I don't know. The first fight wasn't even that great, honestly.
I honestly couldn't care less about this rematch now.
Probably fixed.
I don't care, boy. It's too much corruption.
Triple G's probably going to take it easy on Canelo and just go the distance, and they'll just give Canelo the decision anyway because he's the bigger ticket seller and the cash cow.
I don't care. I want to see Golovkin and Billy Joe Saunders fight.
Yeah,
unify the belts. I don't care about Canelo anymore. I think
that's
Canelo
a better fight. At least you know that Billy Joe against Golovkin would be a real fight, and there wouldn't be any corruption involved. You know, there wouldn't be anything scripted. It would be an actual fight where the better man would win.
I don't know, but I think if it's in the UK, Billy Joe Saunders will probably have a bit of advantage. I mean, Billy Joe, you probably got question marks over even Billy Joe Saunders. I'm not too sure. I don't know if anyone is clean in this day and age in boxing. I mean, until anyone signs up for it.
Would Frank Warren be willing to put the money to get that fight in the UK though? Because I think that, I don't know, I'm pretty sure like Golovkin's people would want it in America.
Speaking of Saunders is in good shape. In a recent picture, he looks in really good shape in a minute.
Isn't Saunders training with Dominic Ingle? That is his new trainer, and he's.
Oh yeah, of course.
I think Billy Joe Saunders might beat him. If Golovkin looks bad in the rematch, and I think Golovkin should be thinking about retiring in about a year or two. I can't see what he's gonna do really. In the middle, if he cleans it up, I can't think of many other things. I don't think he's big enough for 168, and 168 is a dead division as well. I don't know what he wants to do. I think he should.
Billy Joe Saunders ain't beating Golovkin, man.
Really?
I think he's got a chance.
No. Well, he has a chance. Yeah, you know, I have a chance, but
no. The only way he wins is if Golovkin gets on. Like Golovkin's in his mid-30s now, isn't he? So if Golovkin starts to slip and his reflexes start to go, that's the only way that Saunders has a chance.
I don't know about that. I mean, Billy Joe done a really good number on Lemieux. Look how good. And people before that.
Stop Lemieux. I mean, look, Golovkin did
Yeah,
anything.
wait. Let me just say something. Billy Joe Saunders looked really good, and before that fight, people are saying it's a 50-50 fight. I mean, he made Lemieux look really like an amateur sparring partner. I know Golovkin stopped him, but I mean, apart from them, those two guys, no one has. I think Rubio knocked him out as well, but no one has really cleaned him out.
Yeah, but the only reason why people were saying that's a 50-50 fight is because Billy Joe Saunders got beaten by a Russian nobody a couple of fights prior, or the one fight prior. So that's why people were unsure about that. He did a great job in that fight, but
people are saying
people
Lemieux
have
is like
overblown
second
that.
best middleweight. People are saying Lemieux is Golovkin's best win. Lemieux is the number 2. Lemieux would beat Jacobs. Lemieux would beat Canelo. I mean, these are absurd. There's people on this show. I won't name the names. Guys were coming on here and saying it. I mean, I think
people were wrong. You know what I mean? People are sometimes wrong, and that still doesn't make Billy Joe Saunders more than what he is.
Well, I mean, let's just.
Can I just say something quickly?
Yeah, go ahead.
I've just seen the chat, and I've been called an idiot, and I don't know shit by Michael Stutt, whatever his name is. He's saying that you can't get HIV from sex.
Hold on.
He's saying you can't get HIV from sex, right? He's saying you can't get HIV from sex, and yet he's calling me the idiot. I mean, he's saying you only get it from needles. I can assure you, why would they tell us to put something on it then to stop you getting disease? And you know, we might as well all just stop wearing condoms, isn't it? Because we're not going to get AIDS, according to Michael. Shut the fuck up! Absolute shite bag. Unless he's an absolute shite bag. And let's get on to the thing where Billy Joe Saunders. I'm hearing he's not even hurt his hand. I'm hearing that they couldn't sell tickets and they've had to cancel the fight.
Yeah, I think that's true. I think Frank Warren has done this so many times.
Well, he's boring. Let's be honest.
Well, it's Martin Murray.
No one's interested in Martin Murray. I'm sorry, they're not anymore. I mean, he had his time. I mean, how many world title shots is this guy going to get? I mean, he's like the British version of Gabe Rosado, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? It's just.
Can I say something?
No, that's true.
Billy Joe Saunders, people don't give him enough credit because they see David Lemieux was trash that night. Was he really any better against Golovkin? I thought he was trash against Golovkin. He tried outboxing Golovkin. I mean,
I think he's trash in general.
He's just trash. I mean, you can't give Golovkin credit and then not give Billy Joe credit. I mean, you got to call it how it is. He's either trash or you got to either give both the guys credit. I mean, to give Golovkin so much credit and then not give him credit. I saw the same guy. I thought maybe he's a bit worse. He's a bit fatter against Billy Joe, but I mean,
I don't agree with that, to be honest, because when Triple G fought Lemieux was, I think, the IBF champion. You know, he had a lot of momentum at that point, and he was coming off some of his best career wins. So, I mean,
against what? Endam? Against a vacant belt from Endam? I wouldn't. I mean, he knocked out Stevens before he fought Billy Joe Saunders. I mean, was it 1 or 2 fights back? So I thought that was probably his best win, and he boxed.
No way. Endam was a much better win, and that was a very similar style to Billy Joe Saunders, and he handled that style.
Endam did beat Stevens, but did he get dropped or did Endam drop?
Yeah, he got dropped. Anyway, he got dropped.
I think they both trashed. I mean, Stevens.
Wild trash.
They all trash.
Billy Joe Saunders deserves credit for his performance. There's no doubt about it. But the UK have blown that win way out of proportion because Golovkin, not only did he fight the better version of David Lemieux, and that's not even debatable because he was an IBF title holder coming off, I think, 10 wins in a row with 9 knockouts in those wins against much better level of opposition than when and he was already having a hard time making the weight. Now, fast forward, 3-4 years down the line, he's not looking as impressive anymore, and the victory wasn't nearly as impressive as what Golovkin did to him. It wasn't even close. It wasn't even in the same ballpark. I don't know what you guys were watching. The guy ran for like 3-4 rounds. He won every round just about.
I don't think he ran. I mean, Lemieux was getting hit. Lemieux was getting hit. Lemieux was busted up. Let's not get it right. Golovkin knocked him out.
Golovkin made him bleed like a stuck pig and beat the living dog shit out of him. David Lemieux kept chasing Billy Joe Saunders around that ring, and Billy ran a little bit. Look, it was a great performance. He deserves credit, but it wasn't anywhere close to what Golovkin did to him.
Well, what? Hold on. Let me just say one thing, please. Let me just say. Hold on. Let me just say one thing. Let me just say one thing, please. I gotta say one thing here. Nordic, please. I gotta just say I gotta say one thing. Oh my goodness.
His next fight's gonna be
I gotta
Martin
say
Murray.
one. We got some connection issues here, man. I'm telling you. All right. Listen, I gotta say one thing here, to put things into perspective. Precise. I agree with you that Golovkin's win and performance was against Lemieux was better than than Saunders. However, it's always impressive when a guy beats another guy for 12 whole rounds the way Billy Joe Saunders did. Now, here's the problem for Billy Joe Saunders, because yes, he won all 12 rounds against David Lemieux. The problem is that's fun to watch when it's against a puncher, but when it's against a non-puncher like a Willie Monroe or anybody else, really, the performance sort of gets stale and it gets a little boring, because let's face it, Saunders is a runner. So the problem for him is he has to keep putting on strong performances, entertaining performances. Not that people this side of the pond know who he is. The problem is he's not an entertaining fighter. So let's talk about that. Let's talk about his marketability. Yes, he's entertaining outside of the ring, but inside the ring he's going to have a little trouble keeping us all interested, especially the casual fans.
Well, who's Saunders looking to fight next? Saunders' next fight is looking to fight Martin Murray. His last fight was Lemieux. His last fight before that was Monroe. All of these guys were destroyed by Triple G. So he's clearing up Triple G's leftovers, and he's going the distance with all of them. All these guys.
He's still beat though. I don't know. I think GGG fanboys. I don't really like Billy Joe. Let me get that right. I'm a Golovkin fan, but I mean, it's like you can't even really call up a Golovkin on anything. I mean, let's get this right. He's beaten. I don't think he looked that good against Monroe, but he done a really good number on Lemieux. Lemieux was just trash. That's all I want to see, and I think people find it hard to accept that because that's probably one of Golovkin's best wins. But it is what it is. He is trash. I mean, he's looked garbage against Golovkin and Saunders, and those were his two biggest fights.
Yeah, but if he's garbage, knock him out. If he's garbage, knock him out. Right? If he's garbage, but look.
But wait. Let me see.
Did it make sense? But did it make sense what I said?
But Mayweather didn't used to do that. So what difference is it? I mean,
no. When Mayweather fought somebody who was garbage, he would put a beating on them or knock them out.
Guerrero, Berto,
he put a beating on Guerrero. He put a beating on that dude. But Floyd is Floyd, man.
Yeah, why are we even bringing up Floyd Mayweather?
Billy
Joe not a puncher.
Billy Joe credit when all his recent opponents are guys that Triple G has already dealt with, and in better fashion. Like I say, if he's fighting Martin Murray next, we saw what Triple G did to Martin Murray, and it wasn't pretty at all. Look at that fight. I mean, we saw what Triple G did to Monroe. We saw what Triple G did to Lemieux. Why is Saunders, on a crusade, hunting down all these guys that Triple G obliterated? And going the distance with them and getting credit for it. I just don't understand it.
I mean, he beat Eubank and Andy Lee. He beat Eubank and Andy Lee.
He also lost to Akavov. He lost that fight to the Russian nobody.
That's true.
He did not lose that.
I think to be fair to Saunders, man, you got to be fair to Saunders. He actually bashed up David Lemieux that night. He didn't just outbox him. He bashed him up, man. Just say what you like. I mean, I know Saunders looked horrible in that fight you're talking about, Precise, and it was that boring. I turned it over, so I don't even know who won. It was that bad to watch. So I agree with you. But Billy Joe Saunders is a different guy from the Ingle gym now. He's in better shape, and that performance against David Lemieux, whether you like Billy Joe Saunders or not, was just as impressive as Golovkin's. Saunders has not got Triple G power. So
yeah, I agree. That's I think a fair statement. That's a fair assessment.
Yeah,
I think look, it's like when Pacquiao was knocking guys out. Obviously, you can't compare it, but it's just I'm giving an example. And Mayweather was just outboxing. I mean, Floyd is Floyd. He doesn't really knock people out. But Billy Joe Saunders, I don't think he's not as big as punchers. Obviously, Golovkin. I think he's beaten these guys up. I don't think he looked that good against Andy Lee in the last 6 rounds and against Avakov, and he kind of gassed against Eubank. But I mean, you could make an argument he's probably the second best middleweight. I would like to see him fight Jacobs, but I think with the whole promotional issue with Eddie and Frank Warren, that fight won't happen. But
Frank Warren's a joke, bro. Frank Warren's a joke. Seriously, no, but this guy is going to try and feed us these trashy cards that he can't even sell anymore. I mean, he's had about 2 or 3 cards that have had to be postponed because he can't sell tickets. We're not falling for his bullshit. It's not the fucking 70s and the 80s anymore, right? Frank Warren needs to get with the times.
It is tonight. I'm joking.
No one will call in for Martin was calling for Billy Joe Saunders v Martin Murray. Nobody on this planet was calling for that fight. He honestly thought he could sell that fight. And
He'll probably call for Billy Joe Saunders against fucking Dominic Wade next. Wouldn't be surprised about that, you know.
No, look, I mean, Canelo's lined up to fight Spike Silva, which is a horrible. I mean, that's probably a mismatch. Yeah, so I don't see why Golovkin and Saunders can't fight. I mean, I think this whole thing of delaying that Murray fight could be to see what happens, and I wouldn't mind seeing that. I mean, let's be real. Canelo is not really a number 2 at 160 because he really hasn't fought at the weight enough. He had one fight, and I think that draw was probably not the correct decision. That was really being generous. He really lost.
That fight's going ahead. That fight's going ahead, boys. Trust me. That fight's not going to be stopped. There's no money in boxing over there. There's no fucking money in there. That's the biggest fight. People need to get paid. And Las Vegas needs its big night for the casinos. That fight's happening, mate. Don't matter whether... Canelo could be well over the limit. You know, he could fail another drug test. That fight's still going to happen.
But if Canelo loses again, I mean, at 160, I don't think he's a probably top 3 fighter. I mean, you could probably put Jacobs ahead of him because at the actual weight class, he really hasn't beaten anyone. I mean, Chavez, come on, that was a dead body, but even that fight was at 160.
That was super middleweight, yeah. That wasn't even
wasn't even at middleweight.
Yeah.
I think we need to see the Golovkin and Billy Joe fight. Don't get me wrong, I still pick Golovkin, but I think probably have to see how he looks against Canelo, but I don't know what's going on with this whole situation with Canelo. If he's suspended, there's a hearing until April, and that's really late. That's like 1 month before the fight.
Well, let me ask precise. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, if they pull out the fight, I mean, how they gonna make like Golovkin, and if Golovkin's looking to fight on me, how they gonna get another opponent in that time? So
Golovkin needs it. Golovkin needs this fight. There's no one else there he wants. He needs this fight. He needs to put a wrong right. He got robbed the first fight. He got cheated with roids. He's going to make more money in this fight than he will in his next 10 fights against other opponents. So Golovkin is going to take this. You know, he's a warrior. He's not scared of Canelo. He knows Canelo's taking drugs, and he'll still take the fight. The fight's going on. Canelo will be still training as usual. He knows he's looked after. He knows that no one's going to be pulling him out of this fight. So training goes on as normal.
Now, he just needs to go 12 rounds if he's going to win the fight.
Yeah. Now let me ask Precise something, because Precise, you made 2 videos recently about this whole issue, and I agree with you. I think this whole showing on April the 19th or whenever it is, it's just one big show to try to demonstrate to the people that, hey, look, we're taking this issue seriously. Let's say the fight happens like we're all expecting it's going to. How can anybody involved in this, and I'm talking about Canelo, the Nevada State Athletic Commission, how can they save face after this? I mean, I think it's pretty apparent at this point that something smells bad here.
Canelo's fucked, in my opinion, man. I think he's fucked. I don't think he beats Golovkin, and I don't know. Maybe they rob him again, but I just have a hard time after all this bullshit. Them trying to pull another robbery, like, people are just, they're not gonna be okay with that, you know what I mean? I mean, they're absolutely demolishing Canelo right now. Go check out his Twitter. It's the funniest shit ever. I mean, the memes that people are posting, you could make a fucking hilarious video just using those memes.
I'm gonna check it out. Don't use his Twitter though. Somebody else is using it. He don't give a fuck. He don't know what's going on his Twitter most of the time.
But I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't put it past that. I think they could rob Golovkin again. I think there's probably 2 scenarios in this fight. I think unless it's a KO, but I don't think either guy will KO. Unlikely, but you never know. I think either
they could, but it's going to be such a huge blow to Vegas and to boxing. And this whole idea of Canelo being the A side, it's not so clear cut. I don't understand how people don't see this. Golovkin has more fans than Canelo worldwide. Vegas is Canelo's stomping ground, and Canelo is the future. Golovkin is the past. But as far as who brings the money, who buys the pay-per-views, it's pretty 50-50 in my opinion. Because you go look at all the Mexicans. Triple G has more Mexican fans than Canelo, if the social media are any indication. And the only people that are really caping for Canelo are a bunch of bitches. And I'm talking about women. You know what I mean? Like, go check out his social media. It's women. And do they really invest in the sport like men? No, they don't. They just like Canelo, and that's it.
So it's not
thing
so
is with
clear cut
Canelo,
who the A side is.
We always buy, bro. When Canelo fights, even people that don't like him, we all buy his fights because he's exciting and he fights the best. So whether whether you're a fan of his or not, he's bringing in the money. And like I said, he's got a female. He's got like the One Directioners, on his side, sort of thing. He's got a lot. Always brings money and popularity. And that's the thing with him. He may not be liked, but he brings in them numbers, bro.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say is that a lot of the Canelo fans are Canelo fans, and that's it. Just like with Anthony Joshua, they just know Anthony Joshua. They're not buying any other pay-per-views. They're just into Canelo. So I think it would be a huge blow for boxing if they were to rob Triple G again, because that's gonna have more long-lasting repercussions than Canelo. Canelo can lose and he'll bounce back. Like it would actually look good if he took a beating, because that would be like his punishment for cheating and all that other stuff, and then he could build himself back and come back, and his fans won't abandon him if he takes a loss and takes it like a man. Yeah.
I was just going to say, when they robbed Lennox Lewis in America, and the Americans actually turned on boxing, they were disgusted by that performance, and I think this is what it's going to have to take. If GGG gets robbed, the Americans are going to have to turn on their own system for this to be put right, because I remember when Holyfield got that decision. I mean, even his own people are doing it, and that's what's going to have to happen if Canelo gets this, because you can't keep robbing a guy, man. I mean, otherwise, what's the point of even having this sport?
You know, to be honest, I see this as it's pretty much got the same feeling as Kovalev Ward had, where going into the fight, you just got the feeling that the officials involved were going to do everything in their power that they could possibly do to make sure that Ward got the win, and they didn't give a fuck about how it affected the integrity of boxing or people getting ripped off. They didn't care about that. As long as Andre Ward got the win, that was all that mattered to them. And to me, it has that inevitable feeling about it, like they'll do whatever they can to make sure that Canelo wins.
I can't really disagree, but the dynamic here is different, because look, Triple G has huge endorsements. Like, he's a worldwide figure. He's a household name in some countries. Now, I'm not saying everywhere. Kovalev was completely unknown. You know what I mean? And it was a different dynamic there. I don't disagree with you. You could be 100% right. But just the fact that they did not cover up Canelo's positive test. I mean, they're trying, but it still came to light, and let's face it, Andre Ward was juiced going into the second fight with Kovalev. And did he ever fail any test?
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So.
Yeah, I do agree there. I was really surprised by the positive test, to be honest. Like, I would have thought that Canelo would be the type of fighter where if he tests positive, you just sweep it under the rug and we'd never hear about it. Whereas, when Povetkin supposedly tests positive, we hear about it within seconds. I mean, it's all over social media straight away. I was surprised that Canelo, that I was surprised that the information was put out there. So yeah, you could be right. I could be wrong.
And let me tell you something. I know a lot of people will disagree because they're caping for Golovkin. But if Golovkin failed the drug test, they would have covered up for him just the same, because he is 50% of the same $200 million equation. Don't make no mistake. Maybe Canelo would have pulled out. Maybe Canelo would have pulled out, but they would have covered for Golovkin just the same.
Good point. Very good point. That's true.
Now, is Golovkin getting old, though? I mean, putting the drugs aside and everything else, like, don't you guys see a Golovkin that is... I mean, let's be honest, he's not in his prime anymore.
Yeah.
And I heard some people say that the fact that Golovkin wasn't as dominant as we expected him against Canelo was because he's getting old. So can we expect an even older Golovkin in this fight? Is that possible?
How old is Triple G now? Like, how old is he? Is he 36?
35.
35. Yeah. So
yeah.
Chances are he's probably on a slight decline.
So yeah, that's my thing. I mean, go ahead.
Yeah, he is on a decline, no doubt about it, and it shows. But I personally, I didn't think he was going to knock out Canelo. I knew it was going to be a competitive fight, that he was going to win. So I wasn't expecting that myself, because Canelo to me was always a very good fighter, and because he gets underrated because of all the hate, and it's understandable, but he's a very good fighter. And yes, Golovkin has slipped, but I'm beginning to think that the stage got to him a little bit, the bright lights and all that got to him a little bit. And look, his coach went into that locker room of Canelo and he saw the wraps, right? We didn't know anything about it at the time, but you don't think he went into Golovkin and said, "Look, man, he's gonna have loaded wraps. Be careful," or whatever. You know what I mean? You don't think that played a part mentally? And there's all these other factors that I think made Golovkin not as good as, and maybe even the expectation of having sparred Canelo and expecting something and then seeing how much he's improved. Maybe that took him aback a little bit. You know what I mean? I expect long story short, yes, Golovkin's on the slide, but I expect a better Golovkin.
Can I say something before I go?
Anyway,
I was gonna say, I wouldn't be surprised if they rob Golovkin again, because this has happened before and so many times. Like, I mean, look at Hopkins, Taylor. Those, I know, different dynamic, different fight, but I mean, two fights which were back to back. A lot of people thought controversial. Kovalev, Ward again. I know these are different fights, you can't compare, but it wouldn't surprise me. I think Golovkin, he did look quite good, I thought, in the first fight, from round 4 to round 9. Was it round 9 or 10, whatever? I still think it wasn't his best performance. Like I thought he started a bit slow, and he could have probably started a bit quicker and ended a bit sharper. But I think maybe that's to do with Canelo, so give him credit. But I think Golovkin, I don't know if he could get any better than that, but he probably can. But it wouldn't surprise me if they drop Golovkin again. But I think maybe, I don't know, I got a feeling that maybe everyone would probably want Golovkin to win. So if it's a close fight, maybe they might give Golovkin the decision this time. But I don't know about. I don't think he looked. I didn't think he looked that good against Jacobs at times. I know he did win and he did drop him, but apart from that knockdown, I thought Jacobs probably gave him a better fight than Canelo. But I'm not too sure. It might be to do with he's probably slowed down. I think he is probably past his prime, but we'll have to see. I mean, this fight will probably tell us, but I don't know if that's also to do with the lack of competition, because I don't think he's really tested.
Look, if you don't think Golovkin looked good against
Jacobs,
yeah, if you don't think he looked good against Jacobs, then
fucking Jacobs was insanely massive. The TV doesn't even fucking show it. How big
I thought Jacobs done better than Canelo. That's all I was gonna see. Apart from that, obviously,
I think Golovkin's. I actually think Golovkin is on the slide a little bit. I've noticed a few things in him. He's definitely slowed down after you. There's times when he just doesn't want to let his hands go.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He's been relying on his jab.
That Golovkin before that would just be constant. That's what it was with Golovkin. I don't think he ever knocked you out one shot. It was just constant power punches coming at you, closing the ring down, everything with technique. But there's times in his last 3 fights where he's had chances to unload his punches, and he just hasn't let his hands go. It's like froze.
I agree.
I don't know what that's all.
I agree. And if you
I did not see that. I did not see these openings that he could have taken.
No, but what about his body attack? What about his body attack?
Hold on.
What about Canelo's defense? Let's give Canelo credit for some defense.
But what about Jacobs as well? He hasn't really went to the body in his last 2 fights.
But Jacobs had good defense too, man.
Jacobs was moving. How do you go? How do you hit somebody to the body?
But he wasn't even throwing to the body.
How do you throw to the body when the guy is constantly moving? How do you do that?
But he did. How could he land on his head a lot? He had Jacobs pinned in the 12th and the 9th round, and he had Canelo pinned a couple of times on the ropes. You could, if someone's pinned on the ropes, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
but you come on. Hold on a second. Hold on. You have to give Daniel Jacobs credit too, because he was very slippery in there too. He does a good shoulder roll, and precisely saying how can you hit a guy when he's moving, but. He's done it against guys like Monroe and Gabriel Rosado, but he couldn't do it against Jacobs because Jacobs is not Rosado and he's not Willie Monroe. He's a better class of fighter.
Exactly.
He's a bigger guy, and those guys couldn't. Golovkin knew those guys.
Golovkin 2-3 years ago walked through Jacobs.
I don't know about that, man.
I don't know. The size difference, I think, was a factor of that fight. Why he fought that way. Jacobs looked like
the guy is slipping. I think we all agree that Golovkin is slipping, but I think some of you guys are not taking into account the fact that he's also stepped up his level of opposition. Yes, he's slipping, but at the same time he's fighting better fighters. Huh?
What about when Kell Brook was tagging him up and he could barely hit Kell Brook at times?
Yeah, but Golovkin didn't care.
Golovkin wasn't tagging him up.
He wasn't tagging him up. You got to watch that fight again. Brook
Well,
landed
they
an
were-
uppercut and a
uppercut,
right
yeah.
hand, and the fight was over. Come on. He wasn't tagging him up.
And Golovkin didn't care. I mean, he was just taking like punches. He was blocking them because he didn't care because he was fighting a small guy, man. He had to take him out. He had to take him out because he was fighting a welterweight. He had no choice. If he didn't knock him out, imagine all the criticism that would have come his way.
And why wasn't that fight stopped? I mean, why did they let Brook take such a huge
Oh
beating?
yeah, I mean, come on, man. Oh, they should have stopped that fight, man. Fuck, it's the UK, man.
Hey, I thought Golovkin
Yeah,
looked like
exactly.
shit. I thought Golovkin looked like shit, and if anyone thought Golovkin looked good in that fight, I'm sorry, boys. I like you all, but you're fanboys.
Brook?
Okay, wait. Hold on. All right, let's go back to Canelo. I want to say something
looked
else.
like shit in that fight.
In Brook
I
fight?
guess Brook?
Yeah.
He
I guess Brook.
destroyed him. He almost knocked him down with the body shot. Hey, here's
didn't
the
respect
body
him.
shots.
There was no respect
He's a better
from
fighter in his middleweight.
Brook was a middleweight too.
I got the sense that Golovkin was letting Brook hit him so that he could draw him into a fight, because he knew that if he
Yes.
could draw Brook into a dogfight, he would get him out of there quicker, because Brook obviously isn't experienced at being in a dogfight against a guy so big and powerful. So I think that was a tactical move by Triple G in order to get Kell Brook to fight him in the pocket, because
He outlanded the quicker guy. He outlanded him 2-1. What are you guys talking about? If you're outlanding your opponent 2-3-1, how is that a bad performance? And then you're stopping him in
I don't
4 or
even
5
look at that
rounds.
fight. It was a money fight. Like there was technique was thrown out the window in that fight. I mean, it was a big guy against a smaller guy. Get out
Still
here.
a fun fight.
Oh yeah, but I'm telling you, but
Great
there's
fight,
nothing
man.
to analyze. There's nothing to analyze here, like technique. Wise. I mean, it was just a big guy fighting a smaller guy. There was no technique.
I accept what you're saying, boys. I accept that, because Golovkin's a lot better fighter and Brook a lot bigger as well. 2 weight divisions, a lot stronger. So of course he was going to do that. Great.
Well, no, he did. He looked okay. He did.
Golovkin.
Golovkin
he
looked
did look
great
like-
in that
because
fight.
he's world-class.
Stu, you gotta watch that fight again, and don't look at Brook. Watch Golovkin. He looked great, and look at his feet. Brook was supposed to be the one with faster feet, and somehow he couldn't get away from Golovkin. Why is that?
I'll tell you
Look,
one thing.
Brook was the quicker
Golovkin's
guy,
the
but
best in the world.
Golovkin couldn't
Golovkin's the
miss
best
his
in the world at
jab.
cutting off a ring.
If you're gonna
Golovkin
watch
got
the best
quick
in the world
feet.
at cutting off a ring. That's why.
Who moves better, Canelo or Brook? Who's got faster feet, Canelo or Brook? I rest my case.
Exactly.
There's 2 different fights. They're 2 different fights because it's like who's got the better head movement, Canelo or Brook. So it goes both ways. All I'm saying is, I think Golovkin has slided. I still think he's a great fighter, and he's much better than Kell Brook. But I just don't. Let's be real. He weren't great in that fight. He weren't great in the Jacobs fight. That Golovkin should have been going through Jacobs like fucking like a door.
Like Mayweather went
Just
through smaller Cotto, right?
just
Like Mayweather went through smaller Pacquiao. That's how he should be going through him.
No, because they're different sort of styles to fight.
No. It's not about styles. It's about boxing skill. Like if you got the boxing skill, the objective is to knock your opponent out.
Mayweather's not
Billy
going
Joe
for
Saunders.
anybody, you know
Billy Joe
that.
Saunders doesn't have the boxing skill to knock people out. It's not about technique. Well, it is about technique, but you guys, a lot of people overrate guys that don't have the punching technique. They don't set their feet because they don't have the skill to do that. And you think that just because he's running away and moving a lot, that's skill. No, it's not skill. The true skill is to stay in position to punch and keep punching, and that's how you stop people. Billy Joe Saunders, if you let Billy Joe Saunders hit one of those machines that measures how hard you hit, I guarantee you the difference between how hard he hits and how Golovkin hits is not going to be very big at all. Golovkin keeps his feet in position, he stays on top of you, and he has great punch technique. That's why he knocks people out. It's not because he's any stronger than Billy Joe Saunders necessarily.
The question was, the question was, is Golovkin on the slide? And
I think we all agree. We all agree
We all agree he is, but I think you're overrating the slide and underrating the step up in competition.
It's because he's so good. He's so good that slide is still good enough to get him victories. Of course, I understand.
Okay, okay, let's move on.
He's not
Let's.
the fighter he was.
All right, Golovkin, Canelo 2. So what does Golovkin have to do in this fight to make it more of a convincing win? Because if he does the same shit, he's gonna get robbed again. If he does the same thing, he's gonna get robbed again. So he has to do more. So what is he gonna do?
Load his gloves.
To the body. I think the left hook to the body for Triple G is key. You know, he needs to cut off the ring and get Canelo up in the corner or up in the ropes and just really mercilessly attack the body like he did to Martin Murray. If you've seen that fight, he needs to follow the blueprint for that fight. You know, just really put Canelo under pressure and don't give him any room to breathe.
That's a good question, man.
Small adjustments. He's got to thread the needle, basically, something he wasn't really able to do in the first fight.
Now here's the thing: if he goes in there balls out against Golovkin, against Canelo early on, he's taking a risk, right? But I mean, at this point, does he have to take the risk? I think he does, right?
I think so.
Well, he felt Canelo's power in the first fight, and Canelo wasn't able to put a dent in him. So I don't really think that, you know, as long as the fight's legit, I don't really see Canelo knocking Golovkin clean out. I think that Golovkin can afford to take risks at the risk of, you know, getting robbed by the judges. You know, he needs to get the knockout.
Mm-hmm.
If he doesn't put Canelo under serious pressure and force a stoppage, I don't see him winning. So I think he has to take the risk, whether he gets caught or not.
That's a good point. That's a good point. And by the way, Hamed is saying that Triple G is overrated. Hamed is in the chat saying that Triple G is overrated. I gotta tell you, man.
You're a nice guy. You're a nice guy. But I don't fucking cut it when you're bullshitting and fucking around like this.
I mean, come on, overrated. I think Triple G has proven. I think he's proven.
That's
at this
not even
point.
anything you want to address, BDA. I mean, come on. Right?
All right. No, I think Hamed is trolling a little bit. But I mean, you guys are right. Golovkin has to go all out here because he's gonna get robbed if he goes 12, most likely. And yes, he might get stopped or hurt against Canelo, who does hit pretty hard. But I mean, he's got no choice. What else? Yeah, he's 30. He's gonna be 36. I mean, the time is now to take a risk. He really has little to lose at this point. This is his big
but look,
fight.
that's the point. You're right. But if he starts taking risks, that means he's going to pressure Canelo into taking risks also, which is going to make Canelo more vulnerable.
Mm-hmm.
And if it comes down to a shootout, I mean, who do you favor?
That's a.
You know.
I mean, I don't know. Yeah, go ahead.
I have a question, or maybe a rhetorical one. Who's the more technical fighter? Who's better technically, Canelo or Golovkin?
Triple G by far.
Right. Canelo is the more athletic guy, right? The faster guy, the flashier guy. That's Canelo's advantage. So who's going to make... who should you expect to make the technical adjustments better than the other guy, right?
Oh, absolutely. I agree, Precise. But under the circumstances where I still believe that the judges are favoring Canelo.
Well, yeah.
Then Canelo should just do the same thing. Yeah. Then he should just do the same thing and try and then he's cruise it and then just get a decision.
No, but he's coming to knock him out, right?
Bullshit. You know that's bullshit. Come on. Yeah. My ass. He's gonna do the same shit. Flurries and move and flurries and try to win rounds with Sugar Ray Leonard style. You know, a flurry here and try to win the rounds. That's
right. I agree. I'm trying to do more of a technical breakdown and leave the politics aside. For
okay.
But yeah, they go hand in hand, obviously.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, Canelo should be the one making all the adjustments, but I don't know. Okay, well, do you think Golovkin's gonna make adjustments as well, though?
Yeah, I think so.
Golovkin has to throw, even if, like before, I said he was quite patient in the Canelo fight at times when he could let his hands go and he didn't. I think this time he's going to have to just throw his arm, even if he's hitting arms, throw more body shots. Just throw punches, because that's what he has to do to win on points, because otherwise he's going to get robbed. Anything that's quite close, where it's a close round, and let Canelo do a little flurry at the end to nick it, because that's what he's going to try and do. Golovkin has to keep the pressure on, and even if he's hitting arms, hitting body shots in, just scoring points. That's what he's got to do, because if he can't afford to take breathers and fight.
Like, because in the first fight, I can't remember Triple G ever, and that was a confusing thing about that fight, because you know, if you've got Canelo under pressure, you know, Canelo doesn't have, you know, the best stamina in boxing. You think you go downstairs early on, but Triple G, to me, at least from what I saw, neglected the body. So in this fight, that's obviously something that he's got to work on. He's got to work the body consistently to bring Canelo's hands down and obviously get him up on the ropes and, you know, try and wear him down.
Yeah, but the way he finds the body in the second fight is by improving his footwork. And I think he was a little bit stiff and a little bit just... You know, he choked just a little bit. I think he choked just a little bit. And I think if he uses his feet to get him in position, the body's going to be there. Canelo's feet were too fast for him in this fight.
Well, honestly, Canelo counterpunched pretty well, though. And I think that's why Golovkin was a bit hesitant, though.
Also,
he had trouble finding him. Let's be honest. How many hooks did Golovkin miss?
I agree.
He missed a lot with the left. Yeah. So.
I just think I think Canelo got Golovkin's respect. He caught Golovkin with some solid shot. Golovkin's got a tremendous chin. I mean, you'd have to hit that guy with a fucking iron bar to hurt him. I mean, it's a tremendous chin, but Canelo got his respect about walking in, and maybe that's why he wasn't letting his hands go at times when he should have done, because he was hesitant to get caught. But Canelo definitely got his respect, and I think that's one of the reasons.
Like against when Triple G would have Kell Brook hurt, he would run straight at him. But like Precise was saying about the footwork and getting into position, Triple G can hurt you from distance, and then when he hurts you from distance, he just runs straight at you, and it's quite surprising. And I think that's the kind of strategy you'll need in this fight, because like I was saying earlier about how he would let Canelo or he would let Brook tag him up a bit to try and drag Brook into a fight, and then when he would hurt Brook with the jab, he would just run straight at him. You actually see Triple G running in the ring like straight towards his opponent. And I think that's because it's kind of quick and it's deceptively quick. And I think that's something you need to work on, because, like I was saying earlier, to beat Canelo, he's going to have to get into the body, and he's going to have to surprise him, and he's going to have to be sudden. Otherwise, Canelo's just going to old man his way through the fight and get a decision.
When a fighter rushes in, I think when he was rushing in, Froch did it well against Butte, but he was rushing in with power punches, and it's very hard to, obviously you can't count on with combinations, and I think that's what Golovkin was trying to do, prevent Canelo from landing combinations, because when a fighter's rushing in on you, you can throw one single shot and then you're tied up, sort of thing. So I think a lot of fighters do that to stop getting combinations in their head, sort of thing.
Yeah, I agree there.
And by the way, Cameron, I hear in the chat room you're saying that you haven't gotten in a word edgewise. Well, that's because we have a full house, and you have to be a little aggressive here. Remember, you gotta... Come on, you gotta get in there! Get in there! You gotta get in here, man. That way I can... If I hear you that you want to try and talk, I'll separate a little time here and let you in. But I see that he already left the hangar, by the way. Look, with this whole Golovkin-Canelo thing, we have to also remember that Canelo is faster. So if they start trading, there is the possibility that he lands his punch first. Now, Golovkin has a pretty good chin. He tucks it very well. But no matter how well you tuck your chin or how good it is, when you're taking shots from a big, juiced-up guy like Canelo, who's wearing 10-ounce gloves, it's harder than it sounds. You know what I mean? You can talk all you want about putting pressure, but it's a big risk. Then again, that's what the fight game is all about, taking risks. Now, Bucho, let me ask you this, because I haven't asked you this. Are you looking forward to the fight, or at this point has it lost all the steam it had for you?
Yeah, it lost a bit of steam. I'm not really that interested in it anymore. I think it's going to be another fight where it's going to go 12 rounds and Canelo's going to win the decision by robbery. And so I don't care. I'm looking forward for others, like to Usyk against Gassiev. I don't care about this shit fight, man.
No, I agree.
That's why I'm tired of talking about this. And then Canelo tests positive, like, get out of here. It's like
Now I have to ask though, when what's, because again I haven't really been following it, but I hear now that Canelo is very angry at Golovkin for having accused him or something. I mean, what's
fuck off.
I mean, you tested positive twice, and now the other guy's calling you out, and you're getting angry. I mean, come on, Canelo, what are you doing?
He's a big baby, isn't he, Canelo, man? If someone doesn't go his way, spits his dummy out and throws his toys out the pram. Just a big fucking baby.
Well, do you think it's roid rage at this point? Or?
Probably. Yeah, probably. He's probably off his fucking tits on the juice.
Exactly. I mean, hey, listen, fucking roids will do that to you.
He's put on Vitor Belfort muscle, isn't
he? Yeah, that's the Vitor, TRT Vitor, man. Let me tell you something.
Drugs is dirty business. Drugs is dirty business.
Drugs are a dirty business, man. And like Precise said a long time ago, you take that stuff at your own risk. Now, if you remember, Jimmy's Corner, who was here a couple of, what was it, last week, he made a very good breakdown of how clenbuterol works and all that. So if you have a good professional in your corner giving you all this stuff, there's a big chance that you're gonna walk out of it okay. And by the way, have you guys seen Sylvester Stallone at 71?
All natural, man.
Yeah, right. All natural. This guy is 71 years old and he is shredded, man. and that's what drugs can do for you, man. That's what these PEDs will do for you. But I mean, he's still alive.
Yeah, because when you watch Rocky 1 and then see the shape he's in Rocky 4, I mean.
Yeah, but it was Dragon was supposed to be on steroids, but it was fucking Stallone.
Yeah. Yeah.
Google
Exactly.
Sylvester Stallone head size. Like his head has doubled in size. I'm not even kidding. Google it.
Well, look at his hands, the joints and everything. Just fucking got bigger and everything.
It's
Yeah,
retarded.
he fucking picked up Hulk Hogan, didn't he, and chucked him over the ring. I mean, that takes some strength, I'll tell you.
Oh yeah, Rocky 3.
I'm putting the picture up on the screen. He does look a little more bloated. That could be with age, but I mean, I think more important than the head are the hands. Sometimes when you look at a guy's hands when he's taking HGH, you can, like, he's got the Joe Rogan hands. Joe Rogan, who's admitted that he's on HGH. You look at his hands, they look swollen. You know, like a bunch of bees stung him or something, and that's one of the I think the telltale signs that a guy is on HGH, right? I mean,
And usually, boils on their backs as well, isn't it?
the what?
Is it spots and boils as well?
Yeah.
When they got spot back, is that a sign?
I don't know. Let's.
HGH or a bricklayer.
Did you guys see Juan Manuel Marquez's back after the Mike Alvarado fight? Remember that? You remember that situation? Like Juan Manuel Marquez was like 41 years old, and his whole back was covered in zits, like he was a teenager.
Yeah. Juan Manuel Marquez definitely was on when he was with Memo Heredia. What's his real name, Bucho? Memo Angel.
Memo Angel. What was it? He changed his name like 3 times or something.
50. He changed it more than Prince. Let me tell you, this guy is a piece of work. Who does anybody know? Does anybody know who Memo Heredia is working with now?
Whole bunch of people.
Yeah. Now, do you think he? Yeah, go ahead.
I just find it interesting that there are a few Mexican channels out there who are using Memo as the defender for Canelo. I just find it fucking hilarious how he's giving Canelo an alibi. You know what I mean?
Right. Now, I do have to also, speaking of people that are you know, in the wrong in this one. I'm a big Doug Fisher fan. I've been reading his column his articles for the past more than 15 years. He's a good writer, but one of the things that's a little fishy here, no pun intended, is when you go to ringtv.com and he's got his weekly mailbag. For the past 2 weeks, or ever since this whole Canelo thing happened with the test, he's been defending, well, not necessarily defending Canelo, but he's sort of like saying, hey, listen guys, let's wait for the smoke to clear before we make a decision, which is true. It's a sensible thing to do. But at this point, the evidence keeps mounting and mounting. People have made, like Precise has made plenty of videos detailing what's wrong with this situation. And it seems a lot of people are calling out Doug Fisher in the comment section of his articles, and they're saying, well, hold on, you're putting the burden of proof on us. The burden of proof is on Canelo to prove that he's clean. And listen, so far he hasn't done it. And like Precise said in one of his videos, not only does Canelo take a hair test, his entourage has to take a hair test too, because chances are they ate the same thing that he did. So if they ate the same thing and it's true that it was contaminated meat, then it's going to show up in their systems. It's as simple as that.
All those guys, really. Steve Kim, Doug Fisher, all those guys, they're all golden boy whores. I mean, Steve Kim's funny, don't get me wrong, and he tells the truth 90% of the time, but all those people are golden boy whores. I mean, do they really have a choice? Do they have a choice? Let's be honest.
Yeah, that's the burden.
Any of these media people can be bought, you know that. I mean, for the right price, they can all be bought.
Exactly. Yeah, it's part of the game. You can't be 100% neutral when you're a writer. Otherwise, who was it that was getting banned? Well, it's Steve Kim, right? He can't go to PBC events. I think he's banned or something. They won't give him.
That's the problem, BDA. These reporters are being told if they criticise their fighters, they can't come to the events and they won't get their interviews. So they've got their arms tied behind their back, really, bro. I mean, this is what a sensitive little world we're living in now, where reporters can't even ask questions.
Exactly. It's a big problem.
Yeah, but I don't think Steve Kim believes that story, though.
What do you mean? Which story?
The Canelo story, the official story that he ate contaminated meat by mistake. I don't think Steve Kim believes that, though.
No, I don't think Steve Kim believes it. I think, but I think Doug Fisher is in a tough position because Golden Boy owns Ring Magazine, he works for Ring Magazine, therefore he works for Golden Boy.
Nobody believes the contaminated.
No, nobody
story.
no. Well,
Nobody.
Montero, I think.
No,
Well-
he doesn't.
Look how many Mexican fighters are on. Look how many Mexican fighters there are. Are you telling?
Not a shill.
Hold on, one at a time.
Montero actually spoke to me on Twitter and he's trying to convince me he's not a shill. He's asking me, do I still think he's a shill because he aired out someone else that was on PEDs. And I was like, I don't think you're a shill. I know you're a shill.
Of course
Well-
he's a
But the guy's doing pure damage control, doing all these videos, trying to convince people that he's fair and impartial. When you know
Look.
damn well that he's just trying to keep his credentials.
Golden Boy run LA. If Golden Boy blacklist him, he's out of a fucking job. It's
Exactly.
really that simple.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is why Michelle Joy Phelps had to go to England to further her career. She's doing really well. You know, she's.
What are you implying there?
Yeah, where are you playing, man?
Okay, so I
Further
wanted
her
to fuck her.
career, wink,
Wow.
wink.
I had a dream I
You have to
fucked
come
your
to
brains
England to
out.
get a career in boxing because, like I said, as a reporter over there, there's not a lot in it for you, and if you're getting banned for speaking, what's the point of even doing the job?
Man, let me tell you something. Michelle Joy Phelps.
I'd like to break my dick off in that ass, huh?
Listen, she can get anything. But yeah, look, like somebody said in the chat room, why are we even discussing this? Well, it's because it's interesting. Because do you need any more proof that this whole? I mean, we already knew it, but it's just same old corruption in boxing. You know, it's at what point do boxing fans get up and do something about it? I mean, what can we do? Boycott the fight? I mean, let's be honest about it, guys. When the fight comes in, May 5th rolls in, don't tell me you're not gonna watch the fight. You might not pay for it, but you're gonna watch it, right? Come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I wanna hear it.
Yep.
There you go.
Yes, sir.
What are we waiting for? Come on, let's go!
Because, I mean, come on, we're a bunch of degenerates. Now, I will say this. Hamed is saying in the chat room that did Montero contact you, Precise, or did he do it indirectly and he called you a Povetkin cocksucker?
He did?
Well, that's
he
what
contact me? No, he's scared of me.
No, okay,
He's
he didn't
afraid of
contact
me,
you,
man.
but Hamed said that he talked about you. So, Hamed, what did he say? Tell us in the chat room what exactly.
Well, obviously indirectly.
Oh, indirectly. Man, this whole thing.
I've invited him many times to come on a hangout on my channel or on the Dome channel. If he wants to come here, that would be great, you know. But he's never going to do that because he's a liar. And then anybody who knows the details of the Povetkin case knows the fact that he just lies through his fucking teeth, and that's really the bottom line.
Thunderdome absolutely.
I think.
Hold on, one at a time.
I think Montero thinks he's, you know, he's above people.
Right.
I think Montero is below him, so he's not going to give him his time. But when you look at it, Precise probably gets more views than Montero.
I
don't think I do, but it's not really about that. You know what I mean? He's not.
But at the end of the day, the guy does come across as a guy who looks down at at people. If you're not part of the mainstream, then you're not worthy, sort of thing. That's how it comes across to me. So I think that's probably why he wouldn't debate you. He probably sees you as below him.
Right.
Because I would expose his ass. Because you can't argue the fact.
I know that.
He's just a liar.
Well, Abel Sanchez went on to all these LDPC channels to defend himself after he made that comment about black fighters being boring. He doesn't care, man. He's gonna go to all these shitty channels and talk to them. So, I mean, why not, man?
I did notice one thing, though. I did notice what you said the other day, Precise, is spot on. The LDPC have turned on the black British boxing fans. I've noticed Boxing Beats and Rhymes is now the target because he's supporting Anthony Joshua.
Oh, boy.
Yeah, they're fighting each other, man. It's insane.
Yeah, over Wilder.
They need an enemy.
Wilder.
They need an enemy.
They're making it about race when all of them are the same race. I don't understand it. Joshua and Deontay Wilder are both black guys. Yeah, these LDPC.
Nah, Joshua's not.
Racial issue.
Joshua's
So,
not a brother,
I
bro.
mean, the two guys are the same race, so how is it even a debate? How is it even an argument? Why are they making the whole thing about race? I don't understand it.
Because that's all they
Joshua's
really
not a
have.
brother to them. He's not a brother. They've said that clearly. He's not a brother. He's from Europe. He's not a brother. So that's how they see Joshua. And like I said, they've turned on the Anthony Joshua. Wilder's got these guys going off their minds. I mean, these guys would leave their wife if they said anything about Wilder.
Yeah, man. I mean, look.
Some sort of weird relationship they have with Wilder. Like,
it's pretty simple.
I don't know.
It's pretty simple, guys.
Completely changed their standard when it comes to Wilder too, because they talk about resumes and having quality competition on your resume and all that stuff, but when it comes to Deontay Wilder, it's all about the record, and it's all about being unbeaten, and it's all about being 40-0, 50-0. Suddenly resumes out the window. Suddenly all that legacy stuff doesn't matter, and it's all about just raking up wins. The whole entire standard of what it means to be a champion is thrown out the window in order to accommodate Deontay Wilder.
Yeah.
That's what I've observed.
Well, look, this whole race thing, I want to get away from that because it's really fucking boring, man. It's always the same thing. And
now, you can stay there for the rest of your life if you want to, but I'm telling you, you're starting to look silly.
I mean, I don't really care about race. We know what it's about. It's people judge based on race. All they talk about right now is Wilder's. I mean, people are saying Joshua's avoiding Wilder. No, Wilder is avoiding Joshua. They're not even discussing the actual fight. So it's all a bunch of drama. People love the drama. People love to focus on drama. I don't care about that. And sorry, but I don't want to taint this show with talk about who's saying what and what this community is doing. I don't give a fuck. So let's just move on from that one, alright, guys? Because it's really okay. Wilder, get off me, son says Wilder sexuals. And by the way, precise. Bucho and I were laughing when you called Deontay Wilder a homo thug. Did you make that term up, or is that something you heard?
That's a term that my friends and I would use in Chicago when we would ride the Red Line train. There would be a bunch of black kids who would have like all these colorful hats, and like they would tie their t-shirts above their belly buttons. They were just gay basically.
Right.
But as soon as like the train rolled into the ghetto, they would turn their hats around, fix their hats, undo their t-shirts, and they would start acting tough.
Right.
And if you ever ran into a group like that, they would jump your ass or try to anyway, and try to take your shit basically. So they were definitely homosexuals, but they were also thugs.
Right.
So that's Deontay Wilder reminds me of the homo thugs from Chicago.
Well, I'm glad we got that straightened out.
It's in the name.
Yeah, it's in the name. It's pretty self-explanatory. You're right. I shouldn't have asked. But listen, I just wanted to get that cleared up because I wanted to know where that term came from. I'd never heard it before. All right, now, so, hold on. I just gotta point out a comment here that I'm trying to find. Somebody talked about Thunder. Yeah, Steven Skillrow said Thunderdome Boxing Talk is back. He is indeed back, and he says Anthony wants to come onto the BDA Hangouts. Bucho, who's Anthony? Is that
Thunderdome?
Oh, that's Thunderdome. Well, listen, he's welcome. If he's listening, or if anybody can get the word to him, I mean, he's welcome whenever he wants. He just has to contact us via Google Hangout so we can send him the invite. Otherwise, and that's the thing, guys. I gotta remind you, first of all, don't forget to like and subscribe this video, which I always forget to say. But also, if you wanna join us, go to Google Hangouts. You see the email address that's on the top of your screen in the yellow letters that's scrolling, boxingdebate@hotmail.com. Send us an instant message, send us an invite request, and we send it to you, and that's it, you're in. Everybody's welcome here, as long as you don't disrupt the show, as long as you don't hijack the show with a bunch of BS. That's all we ask. It's not much, right, Bucho?
Absolutely not.
There you go. All right, so what were we talking about then?
Homo thugs.
No, when I... And by the way, no, forget about it. Yeah, Thunderdome was back I think a week ago. He did a podcast, a hangout, and he called out Montero too, speaking of Montero. And he did a breakdown of Montero's video. He would pause the video and then he would comment, then he would play it again. Montero, I mean, listen, like I was gonna say, being a reporter is hard in any capacity. You gotta know when to call out somebody and when to stay quiet. Otherwise, they pull those credentials away. It's not as bad as the UFC, by the way. I think Dana White. By the way, is Dana White still working for the UFC in any capacity, or is that since those Hollywood big shots took over the UFC? Is he still there?
He's still the main man, isn't he?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh God.
I mean, Ariel. Do you know Ariel Helwani?
Yeah, he kicked him out, or what? Yeah.
I mean, this guy, when the UFC was basically, no one was watching it worldwide. Small organisation, didn't even have had some of the best fighters in the world, but not all of them. Some were at different Bellator and Pride and all that. And Ariel Helwani was there from the start, built up all these names, did interviews with fighters that no one gave a fucking flying shit about, and all he said some. I don't know what he said about Dana White, but he said something about Dana White, and Dana White, man, just basically cut him off like that.
Right.
So basically, the biggest MMA journalist on the planet, and MMA, and Dana White just cuts him off for saying something wrong. I'm right.
Yeah, that's how it works, man. He'll do that to you. He won't pull any punches, and people have to tiptoe around him. But it's interesting. You learn a lot of. I mean, you can't base your opinion of somebody just simply based on what other people say, because there might be jealous people out there, or there might be people that hate you and that want to poison the well. That being said, it's not a coincidence that so many fighters, former UFC fighters, have had their rough spots with Dana White. I mean, you name Randy Couture, Tito Ortiz, Ken Shamrock, Dan Henderson. All of these guys end up leaving the UFC and then coming back, but then leave, and that, it's a monopoly. And I gotta ask you something though, because now HBO is really, I always thought they'd be able to adapt and overcome anything that came their way, but now it's looking like ESPN took away most of their fighters. Bob Bauer, and this is a question that I have, because when Don King took his fighters away from HBO during the mid-90s, HBO still had Top Rank, who was supplying a lot of good fighters. Now Top Rank is gone. Would it be fair to say that HBO was only as good as Top Rank allowed them to be? Can Golden Boy take up the mantle here is what I'm trying to ask.
And Golden Boy's on ESPN now.
Yeah, but not as much as Top Rank, right?
No.
Well, other than Canelo, who does Golden Boy have who's really a draw? Like, other than Canelo Alvarez?
Yeah, he doesn't even fight on HBO.
Got Jorge Linares and what? That's pretty much it.
Well, let me ask what people...
Well, they're trying to build up fighters, but we'll see, I guess.
Cameron says, and remember, Cameron is... Cameron is a writer, so he's got an interesting take on this. He says, I've pissed off fighters asking certain questions, interviewing them. Most reporters are too careful about their access and loosening it. I just ask what people want to know. That'll get you banned, man. They don't fuck around.
Well, Raider Raheem started asking tough questions, and then at some point he couldn't interview certain fighters, I remember.
Yeah, there's that famous video. There's that famous video where he's trying to get a word in with Mayweather during a public workout, and they just gave him the runaround. The whole fucking 2-3 hours.
He also pissed off Virgil Hunter, I believe.
Yeah, but that's... I mean, Andrew Ward, let me tell you something. And I know I've said it before that I don't like him personally because he just rubs me the wrong way with his Weasley attitude. I mean, he's not a real guy. He hides behind a facade, and that's one of the things that annoys me the most. That being said, he's also a very sensitive individual. Now I can understand that, and I sympathize with him a little bit because of his rough childhood. But you can't... He's the classic guy that if you criticize him, even if it's constructive criticism or if it's valid criticism, you're a hater. Or you're a hater. You hate me. Stay in your lane. That's what he told Steve Kim and Gabriel Montoya. Like, stay in your lane. I mean, come on. You can't criticize boxers nowadays? I mean, that's an old discussion we've had before, but that's again...
the good thing about Eddie Hearn, bro. That's
what
the
about...
good thing. You could say anything you want to Eddie Hearn, and you know, he'll still let you come and interview his fighters and come to the shows. I mean, IFL TV have got a good thing going. They're lucky, really, because they get exclusives and they get inside interviews with fighters, and they're looked after by the British fighters, and that's why they're doing really well. But in America, like I said, you've got sensitive little bitches like Floyd, who you say one word about them, or Canelo, and you're out the show, and that's where most of your money's coming from your YouTube channel, when it's Canelo and people like that, because you know, that's views get you money, and it's wrong, really, isn't it? And that's one good thing about Eddie Hearn. He lets the journalists get on with it. He does take a lot of shit from them. Steve Kim gave him some shit the other day, didn't he?
Yeah.
It's too politically correct in America, isn't it? You know, people are just too sensitive, and you just can't rant over these people and have a laugh with them. It's all got to be, you know, an ass-kissing show, isn't it? You've always got to praise them, and you've always got to tell them how well they're doing. You know, you've always got to pat them on their back. They just can't take criticism at all, and can't have a laugh with anybody.
Yeah, true.
Everybody's so sensitive. You know, that's it. And it's, listen, every one of us can... It's hard to take criticism. No, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying I completely ignore everything. You also have to find a good balance of when to listen to somebody And when somebody's just being a, you know,
fucking idiot.
I mean, I don't know, it's a hard thing. And fighters especially, because they're doing a very hard job that most of us would never even dream of attempting, of actually getting in the ring there. But then again, that raises the question, which we, you know, Precise brought up that good point when Wilder beat Ortiz, and we were all praising Wilder for having taken the punch and not gone down, and then Precise made a good point, which was, well, what was he supposed to do? Just lay down and quit? I mean, there is a certain expectation, and I think we have a right as fans to have this expectation that if you're gonna step in there in the ring, you gotta make an effort. You know, there's a minimum effort that you make when you step into the ring, and I know it's easy for us to say watching from the sidelines, but again, if you go in there and you just, like for example, Victor Ortiz, you could tell this guy, he wanted out in a whole bunch of fights. He quit against Maidana. He essentially quit against Mayweather by pulling up that retard shit. He quit against Lopez, and again, he had a busted up chin, a broken jaw, but again, fans can't forgive that. I forgive it to a certain extent, but at the same time, am I being too lax? Am I being too generous here? You guys tell me.
It takes us back to it takes us back to Lucas Browne earlier tonight. What we were saying is like the guy got paid very well. He must have got, you know, a real decent payday to fight Dillian White, but he didn't even bother to show up in shape or even give it a decent effort. You know, so when guys are showing up, you know, in worse shape of their careers for a big payday, it's just, you know, I find that hard to respect, to be honest.
I remember when David Hayes stunk the joint out against Vladimir Klitschko. Lost total respect for the guy. I was a fan of his, a big fan of his.
He ran.
I used to pay for all his fights. But trust me, mate, when someone puts in a performance like that, there's no turning back from me. Victor Ortiz, I forgot about that man a long time ago. He's just not worthy to me. The guy's not worthy. I don't like to call fighters cowards because, you know, I haven't stepped in a boxing ring, so I wouldn't say he's a coward, but he hasn't got the stomach to be at the top level. And if there's a way out, he'll fucking take it. He's a bit like Andre Durrell. If there's a way out, he'll take it.
Yeah.
And I can't
predict
fighters.
Taking a dive and getting DQs on, like the Arthur Abraham fight. Durrell was panicking in that fight. He was falling all over the place and jumping to the floor, you know, just trying to survive because he was panicking and he was under pressure. And then when he found a way out, he took it and bitched out and got a DQ. You know, that's the kind of shit that pisses me off as a boxing fan when I see shit like that.
And
to
this day, people say that Durrell beat Abraham, but when you say that Montel Griffin beat Roy Jones Jr., you're a hater, right? But Durrell beat Abraham. Give me a fucking break.
And with that fight too, the Roy Jones fight, he deliberately and intentionally hit Montel Griffin multiple times on the ground, whereas Abraham, you know, he was kind of already throwing a punch as Durrell was ducking down, and Durrell was, you know, intentionally going to the floor like he does in a lot of fights. In order
Durrell was throwing at the same time at him. He just didn't land, but he was throwing at the same time.
Yeah. Abraham was throwing body shots, and because Durrell was falling over, he was landed onto the body shot. So they became headshot sort of thing. You know, that's what happened.
Like, seriously, I've got that fight on DVD. Like, look at Durrell's eyes during the 9th and the 10th round. He was shitting himself. He was terrified, falling all over the place. Like, he completely ran out of gas because of how nervous he was. And, you know, Lawrence Cole was trying to help him out and protect him during the fight. And Durrell got dropped a couple of times and they never even counted the knockdowns. That whole fight just stank of corruption.
Where was his uncle at?
That was the fight that kind of opened my eyes to the corruption in American boxing. Like, it was a fucking joke, mate.
Where was his uncle at?
Wait a minute, is that reverse?
That fight, yeah.
Hey, I didn't know reverse was on the line.
Reverse lead. Reverse lead. Let's get it on.
All right, reverse is in the line. Reverse, what were you saying? I couldn't hear.
I said, where was his uncle at in the Abraham fight?
Yeah, he wasn't pissed
Hiding
off.
under a manhole.
Jeez Louise.
Abraham would have knocked him the fuck out.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, Abraham looks like a bit of a crazy individual. But by the way,
have you guys seen the fight cam 360 for the Andre Ward Abraham fight? Virgil Hunter was going into Abraham's changing room and he was taking the piss out of him and trying to intimidate him. And Abraham said something to him in German. It was something like, "I'll get you after the fight," as if he wanted to knock him out. And then after the fight was over, Virgil Hunter was kissing his ass and was saying, "You're a great champion. and I'm sorry about all that shit. Like this was all on the Fight Crown 360. Like Abraham was ready to do him in after the fight after. And that's just one of these guys who doesn't take shit.
Yeah, Virgil Hunter loves to play mind games. Like I remember also during the build-up to the Froch Ward fight, he would go over to Froch and talk shit to him. I mean, these are people that are willing to do whatever it takes to get a win. All they care about is the win. Now, this is an interesting question because
low life.
Yeah, I mean, look, listen. I understand you want to get the win, and there is money at stake, and if you have a family to take care of, you know, it's your family. But at the end of the day, do you really feel proud about how you won? If you cheated, you know what I mean?
I mean, if he hasn't really been, that's probably that's probably how he was raised to be.
Yeah, and by the way, sorry, I gotta clarify. I'm not saying talking smack to somebody is cheating, because look, if you're talking shit to somebody, getting under the skin, that's the other guy's fault. It's not your fault as a shit talker. But if I'm talking hypothetically, if you do something, like for example, Freddie Roach, when Cotto took on Martinez, they forbid him from wearing his knee braces. So essentially, they were fighting a cripple in there, and I gotta ask, what's the point of beating a cripple? Like, are you happy with that? Can you sleep at night? I mean, do you really think you're the best if you're beating somebody when you handicapped him? You know what I mean? I mean,
some people just got no money. Some people just want to win no matter what. And you mentioned Andre Ward. I mean, the guy breaks every single rule in the fucking book every time he fights. I mean, he uses his head, his elbows, he ducks low, he low blows, he does everything. You know, he A-sides the fuck out of people. He's always got to be in his hometown. The guy will never travel for a fight. He'll never, you know, concede to anything at all. He just wants to win no matter what. I
agree. And Nordic, people in the chat are saying that you need to speak into the mic more. Let's do a test right now. Speak as loudly as you can on the mic. Well, not as loudly as you can, but like try to really get close to that mic.
Alright, how does this sound? Is this good?
A little better, man. A little better.
Yeah.
What are the?
I'm closer to the mic now, so you should probably be able to hear it.
What are the settings on your computer?
I don't know. This thing's quite old. This laptop. This isn't the one I usually use, and it's just, you know, it's on its way out. I'm just getting the most use out of it before I fling it out, to be honest.
Wait, do you have a smartphone?
No, I don't.
Oh boy, yeah, because it sounds as if you're very far away.
No, I'm actually right. It's just I don't have an actual microphone. I'm just using the one that's built into the laptop.
Yeah. Now, do you know? Real quick, if you go to volume, you right-click your audio devices or your sound icon there on the right-hand side, and go to recording devices and try to boost up the sound of your microphone. That might be the problem. Although I don't think it is, but you gotta try everything, man. Because
I'll have a look and see what I can do, and I'll get back to you then.
All right, because I want to hear what you have to say, man. But I'm.
All right, no worries. I'll have a look and I'll see.
All right, man. Yeah, because people also people in the chat have a. I can understand what you're saying, but I think people in the chat room are getting a little impatient with the fact that they can't understand what you're really saying. And by the way, you have a YouTube channel, right?
Yeah, I do. It's okay. Nordic Warrior.
Nordic Warrior. Yeah, I'll put that in the description of the video. Give you a shout out there.
Oh, thanks a lot for that, bro.
No problem, man. And I'm not saying you gotta leave, but I'm just telling you that what people are telling me in the chat room. So you can stay, man. But I'm just saying that try to scream into the mic if you can.
Yeah, I'll stay on and I'll play about with this computer. I'll see what I can do.
Perfect, man. Perfect. Thanks.
I think it's the echo also. It's really the echo in the room.
Yeah, but I mean, you're outside, right? Precise. Are you outside or are you inside a place right now?
I'm in and out all the time.
Yeah, okay, but we can hear you fine. I think it's gotta be some sort of issue too with the microphone. But anyway, look, I wanted to point out what the Punisher said in the chat room. He says sociopaths will do anything to get ahead because they don't have a conscience. That's gonna be the most dangerous thing, man. Going into the ring, stepping into the ring with a sociopath, because he'll do whatever it takes to win, and he doesn't give a fuck if you end up like Gerald McClellan. Have any of you people?
And then when you cheat against him, he plays the victim and cries like a baby.
Who are you talking about?
Just fighters that you're referring to in general.
Right. Now, who do you think is an all-out sociopath? Like, which boxer do you guys think? Okay, yeah, that guy's a textbook sociopath.
Wilder.
Oh, now what would you?
He has a lot of issues.
Now, why would you say Wilder is a sociopath? Like, what has he done to make you say that?
choked the whore.
Oh yeah, I heard about that. Oh come on, you've never choked a whore?
Beat up on a retarded. Not recently. Beat up on a retarded kid half his size. I mean, come on.
Oh, you're talking
I don't
about?
give a shit.
Yeah,
what
yeah. That's
somebody says about my family because that's the excuse that's going around. I'm not touching a retarded kid that's half my size. Why?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. You bring
Just
up
for saying stuff. For saying stuff. Come on.
Precise is
But
bringing
Precise, you have to understand, to him, that's like half his professional opposition.
At the time, that was the best victory on his record.
That's a good one from Reverse. But you know what? Precise makes up a good point about beating up on the retarded fella. Now, if you guys don't know what he's talking about, I think you're referring to Charlie Zelenoff, right? Yeah, Charlie Zelenoff. Here's the thing that I've wanted to say for a long time, and I could never really find the right place to say it. But here's the thing: I think most of you are familiar with Charlie Zelenoff. He's the guy that goes to gyms all over the place and ends up asking people to spar with them, and then they think it's going to be a friendly sparring session, and he starts going all out with them. Now, he's done this not only in boxing gyms, but he goes to regular gyms, you know, where people are just lifting weights and shit, and he convinces people to put the gloves on. He convinces them that it's going to be a light sparring session, and then he goes all out.
And then he sucker punches them.
Yeah, he sucker punches them. Now, he's gotten his ass kicked a bunch of times. Wilder kicked his ass because Zelenoff was talking shit to him. But here's the thing: every time I go on YouTube and I see, you know, Zelenoff videos, people refer to him as a troll. Guys, the guy is not a troll. He's a schizophrenic. There was somebody, I forget who it was, but you can check it out on YouTube, who made a video detailing all the evidence that the guy is schizophrenic. Now, obviously, he's not a psychologist. I'm not a psychologist. We can't determine that or make that diagnosis 100%. But I think, listen, when somebody's recording themselves and they're speaking to the camera and saying that they're the reincarnation of Jesus Christ, and they're crying and laughing hysterically at the same time, I think it's a pretty safe bet that the guy is not a troll, but that he's actually mentally
He's mentally ill. Like, of course he is.
If you go to his Twitter page, I think like his pinned tweet is, "I beat up your dad. What are you gonna do?"
Yeah, like the guy he's a head case. You're gonna punch him in the head, and the fight with Wilder was on what looked like hardwood flooring. What if the kid fell and hit his head on the floor and died? I mean, come on, this is Wilder. Like, he could have killed him with just a punch, period.
Mm-hmm.
It just wasn't right, and it just goes to show you how fucking sick our society is to sit there and enjoy that. Like, for what reason? I don't know. I found it sickening.
And also, I was listening to, I think it was Brendan Schaub, former UFC fighter, who's a big Wilder fan, and I think he was giving Wilder props for, he said like, "Oh, you beat up your troll, how cool is that?" And I'm thinking, man, you really have to look into this issue before you start. And by the way, when I was scrolling message boards back in the mid-2000s, Charlie Zelenoff was there. He's been at this for a long time. He's been crazy for a long time. I think there's even a video of his father saying that he has mental issues and that there's holes all over the wall because Charlie just punches holes all throughout the wall. And I'm thinking, I think people are enabling him. He doesn't have the proper help. And that's one of the big problems in Canada and in the United States, and I think in other countries as well. People that are mentally ill do not get the care that they deserve. And this guy, I'm telling you, he's gonna get seriously hurt. It's already happened a couple of times where he got beat down in gyms. But somebody's gonna kill him one of these days because they think he's a troll. They don't understand this guy is mentally handicapped.
He's gonna get stabbed by somebody.
Jeez Louise, that's but then again, what can we do? You know, I mean, I think somebody
Not pay him any mind.
But yeah, that's true. You know what? Somebody should really get an APB out there and say, listen, if you see this guy in your gym, kick him out. Don't let him in. Simple as that, really.
Have you guys seen the pro fight he had against the guy from Arkansas?
Yes.
The guy from Arkansas, Andrew Hartley, yeah.
He ran. He literally ran.
He spat his gum shield out after like a minute.
And didn't he try to sucker punch him afterwards? After the fight?
He sucker punched him after they were supposed to have a rematch. Like, they actually had an unlicensed fight set up, like a white collar fight.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of fighting him in the ring, he waited until he was taking his trousers off, and he went up and sucker punched him.
Yeah, he's crazy. He's crazy. And by the way,
video like when Max Bear still had because now he's deleted some of his videos.
Mm-hmm.
It's called Underappreciated Sweet Scientists.
What the fuck?
and it's like he basically just, it's a satirical series where he just goes in and starts complimenting people who cheat. So he commends Pulev for his, yeah, he commends Pulev for his jab and grab, and he also made a video about that guy who killed Max Kellerman's brother.
Oh yeah, Butler. What was his name?
Yeah, and his sucker punch, and he kept saying like, you can see, like, even though the fight had already ended, he kept talking about how his opponent was wide open.
but hold on,
like
you
can see he's wide open.
I gotta point out something here. Fight Fan Phil says Charlie Z insulted Wilder's daughter, so I can understand why. But Precise already addressed that. He said, if you're a celebrity and you're an athlete like Wilder, who's a high-level athlete, I mean, let's face it, he is a high-level athlete because he's made it this far in boxing. If somebody says, hey, you suck, or, you know, fuck your mother or fuck your daughter, you ignore them. You're above them. You're not supposed to go out there. And first of all, like Precise asked, what if you would have killed him? Was there a contract involved? Was that?
He's a bully. Deontay Wilder's a bully. That's what it is. He likes beating up the guys that don't have a chance, the little fat guys and little midgets. He enjoys beating them up. He was probably a school bully.
Yeah, I
mean, remember, guys, his middle name is LaShawn.
Listen.
LaShawn. What that means?
Listen.
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Precise.
No, I'm fucking around. Look, you're supposed to, like you were saying, you're supposed to be above that, be the bigger man. I mean, you fucking outweigh him by 100 pounds, right? Be the bigger man. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
That's what the saying comes from, anyway.
And here's the other thing.
I mean, I think we saw the mentality of Deontay Wilder. I mean, he might look a big man and he might punch like a big man, but he's got the mental age of a 10-year-old. I mean,
sure.
And probably the reading level.
Any grown-ass man with any sort of dignity. Nordic, there's a horrible noise coming from your aspect. Any grown-ass man with any sort of dignity would have told the guy to stop being stupid and walked him out of the gym. Deontay Wilder was throwing bombs at him. He was throwing the bomb squad at him. I mean,
he was on the ground. He was rabbit punching his ass while he was on the ground already.
But look, here's...
there's no more. There's no one in the boxing world I want to see get knocked out more than Deontay Wilder.
All right, but the issue here is
coming from Nordic.
Yeah, Nordic. I think there's...
I might have boosted the microphone a little bit too much. See what else I can do.
Nah, you're breaking up, man. You're breaking up. There's something wrong with your connection or your microphone. But look, what I wanted to get through here is that Wilder could have killed the guy. He might have gotten off with his lawyers and everything, but it's still a pretty dangerous situation. And I know I'm sounding like an old man, but here's the other question that comes up. Yusuf Mack, who was involved in a gay porno, and then people found out about it, and he tried to save face by saying that he was drugged. Then the makers of the gay porno came out and they said, whoa, you signed a contract, now you're gonna tell people we drugged you? So finally Yusuf Mack had to admit that he's of that persuasion. Then somebody started talking shit to him on the internet, because you know it's the internet. Whatever you do, people are gonna talk shit about you. That's just a fact. You're putting yourself out there. So Yusuf Mack apparently tracked this guy down, because apparently he knew him or he knew somebody that knew the guy, whatever. And he ended up accosting the guy. He found him in a barbershop and beat the shit out of him. And I remember I was reading a discussion where people were saying, oh, good for Yusuf Mack. If you talk shit, that's what happens to you. Listen, we're living in the real world here. If you assault somebody... Yeah, go ahead.
I was just going to say, that's twice.
If you take it...
Hold on. Reverse. Go ahead. Reverse. Yeah, go ahead, reverse.
If you take it in the butt and you're a man, you can't get mad when people make fun of you.
Well, I mean, I understand he would get angry, but at the same time, you can't go out there and assault somebody, because first of all, the guy's a professional boxer. He kills the guy, let's say, he goes to court. What do you think they're going to say? They're going to say, listen, you're a professional fighter, those things are weapons that you have there, your fists. The guy did not, that was an unprovoked attack. He didn't attack you, it wasn't self-defense. You go to jail, man. I mean, I know as men, we like to talk about how, oh, if somebody talks shit about me, I'm going to go kick their ass. That shit doesn't work. We live in a world where there's rules. and you're gonna
There's a difference between hurting somebody's feelings and hurting them physically. There's a world of difference there. You know what I mean? Like,
if you guys actually seen the video of it, he went up and attacked the guy from behind while the guy was sitting down and started stamping on his head. It was I mean, you could call that attempted murder, for fuck's sake.
So let's be real. Yusuf Mack, I mean, that guy and the porno that he was in, that's the only ass whoopings he's ever give out, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? You know, the guy's a fucking bum. Cole Fox beating him around the place.
Sorry.
You know, at the end of the day, you know, Yusuf Mack felt good because he actually won a fight for once.
People out here playing with sausages and then picking fights about it.
Well, I mean, look, I understand. I hate people that talk shit too through the internet, but you can't go around beating them up. You know, it's just it's stupid. You're gonna get your ass thrown in jail. Then again, maybe he might enjoy that. I don't know. Look, I didn't want to get into this. I didn't want to get into.
Hey, Ja Rule, did you hear that Ja Rule? When he went to jail, he left his wife and got with his his cellmate. He's now officially with his cellmate.
What? Are you kidding?
Have excellent tour that won.
Did you know that, BDA?
No, I didn't know that.
left his wife for his cellmate.
Wait. Is this a joke?
I swear down, it's true, bro.
All right, hold on a second. I'm looking this up on the internet. I hate the Huffington Post, but I'm gonna go there anyway. And it says, Ja Rule responds to gay rumors, denies leaving his wife for prison. What a fucking story, man. He says, okay, I guess I have to address some idiots. These rumors are false, lies made up by some non-me-factor website clowns, laughing my ass off.
Nah, I believe it. It's been going around quite a bit. It's not just one paper that said it, so I believe it. He looks like he's got a bit of the old other side in him, if you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, Recognize the Matrix is saying, no, BDA, it's true. Ja Rule is a known homo thug. Alright, Precisely starting a new trend, with this term homo thug. But you know what? It's hard in the black community, because the black community, a lot like the Mexican community, it's not the same thing as the PC white culture. In the United States, people at the university level, and even prior to that, they've been brainwashing to being very PC. Mexico and in the black community, I mean, listen, the Democrats always pander to the black community, but what they don't understand is that the black community as a whole, I mean, for the most part, not all of them, obviously, but a lot of the black community, they don't go for that gay stuff. They're very Christian, they're very conservative, and they don't like that. You know, these guys, they call them down under, undercover, or what do they call them?
Undercover brothers.
Yeah, undercover
brothers. You'll be very surprised how many homo thugs there are out there.
Oh, no, yeah.
Rife, bro.
Yeah, I know
guys
that.
Guys are out here wearing hoop earrings, dyeing the hair brown.
Yeah, I understand that. I understand. That's what I'm saying is. But what I'm saying is that, like, you know, for example, old black ladies, from what I understand, they hate the homosexual community.
You ever seen that video where it's like this? Where it's like this preacher.
Hold on, one at a time. Yeah, go ahead.
I've seen this video where it's like this preacher. He's like, all gay sodomites are gonna get cancer in the butthole. Their buttholes gonna be torn apart by the cancer for their sins.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think that's a bit of an
exception. Happening in the butthole.
Now, obviously,
sounds like he has a fetish.
Now, listen. Obviously, here at BDA, we don't judge anybody based on race, sexual orientation, political orientation. But I'm just stating facts here. I'm just stating. Listen, I'm just stating facts here. I mean, there was even that video that I'm stating facts. The black community and the Mexican community, as for the most part, they're still very conservative, and they don't appreciate this whole pro-homosexual movement. That's all I'm saying. And so that's just to illustrate why it's ultra hard for a guy like Yusuf, no pun intended, for a guy like Yusuf Mack to appear in a gay porno and have his friends find about it, and then they give him shit for it. I mean, really, put yourself in Yusuf Mack's position. He's got to go back to the barbershop. You know, everybody's talking, blah, 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 blah. All of a sudden, he steps in, they all shut their mouths. And they shut something up.
But bro, come on, mate. He signed up to do gay sex on camera, bro. What do you expect?
Well, maybe he needed the money. I don't know.
Yeah, but come on, mate. If there's cameras there, the likelihood is someone's going to see it.
Yeah, some people don't think far ahead.
No, obviously not. I mean, what was he thinking? What was he thinking? I mean, if that's the case, my opinion is, I think he's a homosexual. He's a closet homosexual.
No kidding.
Definitely, it wasn't just a one-off where he's getting paid. And he's obviously done this video, and now he's getting a lot of shit for it. He's snapping and punching people in the face for it. But it's his own doings.
You think he's gay? Did you get that from the video where he's getting fucked up the ass, or like how did you figure that one out?
You know what I mean? But
Yeah,
some of these guys that say that, oh, it was just a one-off experiment sort of thing. Bollocks, you're gay. You do that, you're gay.
That's a hell of an experiment right there, man. Hey, let me do a gay porno. Yeah, that's gonna be a hell of an experiment. I hope he gets the Nobel Prize for science for that one. Listen, enough of this shit. I was just pointing out how different cultures react differently to all these things. Let's see what people are saying in the chat room. Oh boy, it's all about the same thing that I don't want to talk about anymore. All right, listen. Yeah, listen, guys.
BDA, you're getting political correct, bro. You're getting one of these lefty libtards.
Yeah, well, I try to be as you know, I'm open about people doing whatever they want in behind closed doors. You know, in the sanctity of their own homes. If you like men, go ahead. But I do take one position on something. To me, there's no such thing as being bisexual. Either you're straight or you're a homosexual. There's no in between. This whole thing, you know, bisexuality was invented a couple of years ago. You know what I mean? It's not a real thing.
Transgender as well. Load of bollocks. If you got a dick, you're a male.
All right.
I agree.
Yeah, well, listen, let's stick to boxing for a little bit. I mean, I know we're a little tired from... We've been at this for 2 hours and 41 minutes. And, by the way, speaking of boxing, and I don't know if we, no, you know what, we should save it. The Joshua versus Parker thing, we should save that for the next one. I asked people last episode if I should do a Erislandy Lara Jarrett Hurd film analysis, and people said, yeah, you should do it. I gotta tell you guys, I got a lot of other film analysis to do, but I'm starting to progress.
You're gonna need a 5-hour energy to do the Lara fights.
Yeah, I'm gonna need a cup of coffee, 2 cups of coffee to get to that one. Let me ask you this. I'm gonna ask.
Lara's gonna run and Jarrett Hurd's gonna walk forward like a fucking zombie. That's what's gonna happen.
All right, Ray. Let me ask you this.
Compared to Lara,
some of that Callie Sauerland's.
All right, hold on. Let me ask Ray, because I haven't talked to him in a while. You said that Lara's gonna run. Like, who are you picking for that fight?
I don't know, man. To be honest with you, it's gonna be a shit fight, I think. But I mean, I'll watch it. But I mean, when was the last time you saw Lara in a really entertaining fight? And I don't know. I don't really care for her, especially his last fight. He just walks forward like a zombie, literally, man. I don't know. He only won that fight against, who was it, Trout? You know, it was sad. Trout was beating the fuck out of him that whole time, but Trout was just too little, man. You know.
Right.
And old. He's aging. He's not aging well.
You know.
I thought Trout was the biggest guy in there.
No.
Wasn't Trout the biggest guy in there against Lara?
No. No, I'm talking about Hurd. Trout
against Lara, maybe, but not against Hurd.
Oh, against Hurd. No, definitely not against Hurd. Fucking hell.
Hurd should be fighting Kovalev at 175.
Yeah.
He really should.
Yeah, man.
He wouldn't last 2 rounds. He wouldn't last 1 round against Kovalev.
The shoulders on the guy. He's got the shoulders on him. That frame, I don't know how the hell he makes weight.
Hollow bones, man.
I think it's called diuretics, man. Diuretics. It has to be.
He's kind of similar to Robert Easter at 135, isn't he? Like, you look at the guy and you think he should be 3 or 4 divisions up.
Well, Easter's just really tall and lanky, but you know, Hurd's just really big framed in general.
And neither one of them are really good.
Yeah, they're both shit, honestly.
Well, I think if they were the same size, I would say Lara is a better fighter than Hurd, just based on the fact that he's, you know, he actually uses a little bit of the sweet science. Jarrett Hurd used to.
He's a much better boxer.
Yeah, Jarrett Hurd used to use more boxing technique. Now he's just using his size to bully people. And by the way, every time we talk about Lara Hurd, I have to bring up this picture. of their face. Of look at that. No size difference, right? No size difference at all. The hell is that? Look at that.
You've got to give Lara his credit. I mean, I'm not a fan of Lara at all. Like you know that. I've told everyone many times. Just can't stand watching the guy fight. If that's the sweet science, then I'll give the sweet science a miss. But you've got to give him credit because he's taken on a guy, like you said, that should be fighting Kovalev. So he's given away a lot of advantages. So give him his due for stepping in there. He's obviously got balls, but it's just his fighting style I don't like.
Yeah, I can agree with that. And Precise made a good point about Lara, because people were accusing him. Somebody was accusing him last episode about how he's more of a Tyson Fury, not a fan, but he gives Tyson Fury his props, but he's not necessarily a fan of Lara. And he defended himself by saying, well, listen, Lara is the type of guy that will talk a big game about how he's going to kick this guy's ass, he's going to kick that guy's ass, he's going to break this guy's face. And then he shows up, and what does he do? He throws 2-3 punches at a time. He's like a 154-pound version of Guillermo Rigondeaux. Now, look, if you want to fight that way, that's fine. But then please don't start going around complaining about how nobody appreciates you. If you don't appreciate the fans and you don't even try to put a combination together, I'm sorry, but I mean, it's show business. Boxing is show business. I've said that a million times. You can fight whatever way you want, but then don't go around blaming fans if they don't want to see you fight and they start walking out of your fight midway through.
You're not in the amateurs anymore.
Isn't it that style? It's just some people like it, most people don't.
Can I say something about those two fights? Because I think the person was referring to Lara running away from Canelo and Tyson Fury, quote unquote, running away from Klitschko. He didn't run. Tyson Fury kept Klitschko honest with feints and hard fucking punches. He didn't land very many of his punches because Klitschko has excellent defense. But he backed him up a lot, actually. He held the center of the ring a lot. And it wasn't a very exciting fight, there's no doubt about it. But Tyson wasn't running. He was moving his feet and he was feinting him out of position. Erislandy Lara literally runs. This is the difference. With Tyson Fury and Klitschko, there was a lot of potential there, and it was tense because at any one point the guys were in range and they could have been throwing at one another. With Erislandy Lara and Canelo, it was like, okay, we got 2 seconds of action or potential action, and then Erislandy Lara is running. So what he does is he turns a 3-minute round into like a 1.5-minute round.
Right.
So it's a completely different thing that most people they don't nuance. It's nuance that most people just don't understand, I guess.
And you know the worst thing about...
I didn't see that fight. I'm sorry. I didn't see that fight. I did not think that fight was boring. It wasn't exciting, but I wasn't bored watching Klitschko and Tyson Fury. But watching Lara, Canelo, I was bored.
Right.
So it is what it is.
And the shame of it is that Erislandy Lara is actually a pretty good puncher. He's actually a good puncher, but he's obsessed
with... He can
with...
throw a stiff shot. I don't know if he's really a good puncher.
Well, that's what I meant. Yeah, that's what I meant. He's a stiff puncher. But he's not... I mean, I'm not saying he's a Kovalev, Golovkin, Stevenson type puncher, but he's a pretty good... He's got decent... Look, even Canelo was hesitant to open up against him too much. Because he's got good technique, he's got good precision, and I think he really does sit down on that left hand when he wants to throw it.
And Tyson Fury beat fucking Klitschko, okay? Erislandy Lara beat who? So it's like...
Wait,
you can't compare the two.
Are you really denying great wins like Yuri Foreman and Joshua?
Oh, man, he wants to clean up the division, right?
I will... Hey, but listen, I will say this about Erislandy Lara. At least he's never been decisively beaten. I don't think he's ever been decisively beaten or anything like that. I haven't seen a fight where I can say, oh yeah, this guy was definitely better than him.
Because you were falling asleep, bro.
Come on, man.
You weren't scoring the rounds. You were falling asleep.
Give that... Yeah,
no, it's true, but it's hard to look good against a guy who doesn't engage. And he's a spoiler, and you know.
Erislandy Lara, he could put a glass eye to sleep.
He could put a glass eye to sleep. Yeah, look, he's not the most entertaining fighter in the world. But I will say this, man. Even though I'm not a fan of his style or of his trash talking, if I have to root for somebody between Lara and Hurd, I said it before, I'm rooting for Lara in this one.
Agreed.
So there you go. People agree with me for once. Let's see
what is Jarrett Hurd gonna do? I mean, 154 is already like one of the... I think it's worse than 140. I think it's like you could easily make a case that it's the worst division in boxing.
It's like a domestic level division, isn't it? It's all like domestic.
It is. It's just nothing but Americans, and they do have a couple dudes in Europe. Like I don't know if you heard of Kanat Islam.
Yeah.
But Al Heyman isn't putting his guys against that guy.
And then you got Liam Smith too, and
you've got Cal Brook. You've got Cal Brook though. That could be interesting. Him with the 154.
But he's like the $1 million man at this point. They've had to rebuild him so many times.
Did you see the Cal Brook Lachenka fight?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, because I thought Brook looked a heck of a lot more powerful at like middleweight. I thought his punching.
He always did. He always did. Look at the Carson Jones fight, right? He was always more powerful at 154.
Yeah, I remember watching those fights, and Brook always looked a lot more sturdy to me. Whereas at welterweight, if you look at him, he looked like a skeleton off the time.
I said the same, mate. Against Spence, you could see he looked lackluster. It was a very lethargic performance. Just looked like he weren't. Just too big for the weight. 154, he just looked fresh. He looked strong. He looked like he had a lot of energy, and that can make a lot of difference in a fight. When you that extra 7 pounds of energy is a lot of difference, mate. Do you know what I mean?
Did you guys reckon that Brook would be able to defeat Lara if he was to get that fight? Because I honestly think that's a good fight. I do.
Yeah. Let's see how Lara gets on with Hurd first. Because let's be real. I'm not calling for Lara to be fighting anyone right now. Because you just don't excite me. And Eddie Hearn is going to put that on pay-per-view. You can bet your life he would. So, let's see how he gets on with Hurd. If he gets rid of Hurd in style, then I'll be calling for it. But if he goes and on the back foot and stinks the joint out again, then I definitely will not be calling for Kell Brook. I'd rather see Kell Brook in there with the Charlo, but one of the Charlos, to be honest with you.
Nobody's clamoring for the Khan Brook fight.
The Khan Brook fight.
Let's see how Khan gets on with Greco. I mean, Khan, man. I mean, the guy just can't keep coming back up. He's got more concussions than an NFL player, man. Do you know what I mean? He can't keep coming back from bad knockouts like that. So let's see how Khan is. For me, I think Kell Brook really a real bad number on Khan.
I don't think Khan's been a championship level fighter since he lost to Garcia. I mean, because since then it's just been bad performance after bad performance. I mean, he's looked like absolute shit. Even against Chris Algieri, he didn't look too good. I mean, Khan to me is just a celebrity. You know, he's not even a boxer anymore, to be honest.
Not everybody's.
Kell Brook really puts Kell Khan badly. That fight will be a devastating KO, another concussion, another brain scan. You know, how long does this guy have to go on before he's fucking?
Don't be surprised if LaGreco knocks him out, man. Don't be surprised if LaGreco.
That's what I'm saying, bro. I won't be.
Yeah.
Have you guys seen what Willie Lemon did to Amir Khan back in the day?
Oh yeah.
Willie Lemon with 4 KOs out of 30 fights. Willie Lemon had 4 KOs. Amir Khan all over the place.
Yeah, that was I mean, he really has no chin, legitimately no chin. I mean, come on, man.
It's amazing how far he's gotten with no chin and no defense.
Well, that's to his credit. Really. But
he's got some of the fastest hands in the sport.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Do you know that's a rematch?
But the thing is, with Khan.
Who?
Let's see if we can get past Salka first, man.
You see, with Khan is so basically tries when he's throwing his punches. He's more interested in making it look really quick and flashy than actually planting his feet and getting some pop behind him. He throws a lot of arm punches now. It's a lot of throw a quick combination, look fast, look good doing it, and get out of there. He's not really planting his feet. He's not hurting anybody really. And I just don't know where Khan goes from here, man. I really don't.
I think he still has an amateur style, doesn't he? Like if you look at Khan from the amateurs, he fights exactly the same. He made no adjustments when he turned pro at all. It's the exact same point scoring, you know, quick hands, flashy flash type of style. Like there's no professionalism there at all. Doesn't sit down on his shots. He never developed from the Olympics.
He's a lot like a lot of the Cubans.
I will say this about Amir. Go ahead, Rivers. Go ahead.
I was just laughing.
Okay. Well, I will say this about Amir Khan, though. Again, give him credit is that he's never been outboxed. I mean, you think about it. Lamont Peterson, the fight was very close. Everybody's beating him by knockout or by by stoppage.
Yeah, but how many skilled technicians has Amir Khan fought?
Well,
Name me one.
Well, let's put it this way, man.
Devin Alexander. Please don't say Devin Alexander.
I was going to say Devin Alexander. I was going to say Alexander. How about Luis Collazo is also a pretty good guy too, pretty solid, and can just run circles.
He had to hold Luis Collazo to death. He got a point taken away.
That's true.
McCloskey was a good technician. Paul McCloskey.
I don't know if
he's probably was making him look like shit, making him miss nearly every punch. Like, honestly, if you look at that fight, try and count the amount of punches that Khan lands. I don't even think he landed a clean punch that whole fight.
Okay, what about the Ukrainian guy? What was his name? The guy who had a draw against Marcus Maidana.
Andrei Kotelnik.
And Kotelnik. Kotelnik was pretty good, man. He was pretty underrated.
Kotelnik. Sorry.
Kotelnik was okay, but Kotelnik was, I think, pretty basic. I mean, he was like a lot shorter than Khan, and he was.
I don't care.
He had that real stiff.
I don't care. He outboxed him. Nah, but he outboxed him, man. That's the main point.
Kotelnik was the worst champion out there. Kotelnik was the worst champion out there. They certainly picked his belt wisely there.
No, he wasn't. No, he wasn't. He beat Devin Alexander. Clearly, he beat Devin Alexander.
Go ahead, Charlie. Keep dancing.
He was already past his prime, and he came on strong in that fight against Khan, and he came after him. He didn't get to him. Khan just used his athleticism and outboxed him, but it was starting to look like Abraham Darrell toward the end of that fight. Not as dramatic, but he came after him, and Khan was just running.
Yeah, that's.
Don't knock out Frankie Gavin. I think he knocked him out, didn't he, in the 12th?
I think so.
He was a good fighter, man.
Yeah, he beat Maidana clearly. I know a lot of people said that was a robbery, but I personally thought that Kotelnik clearly won that fight.
He beat Alexander.
Yeah, Kotelnik beat Alexander.
The shit out of him.
He did. I think so.
That was an absolute robbery, that one. And I remember HBO's commentary, like, was it Harold Lederman and all that, was saying that Alexander won the fight, even though he clearly got outboxed behind the jab.
Nah, but Kotelnik was blocking everything, almost everything from Devin Alexander. And Alexander's a pretty good guy, man. I mean, a pretty good fighter. He knocked out Juan Orango when he was giving hell to everybody. So Alexander had some promise there. But then again, he got hooked on those painkillers. But was it crack or painkillers? Yeah. What happened there?
Probably. It's the same thing, basically.
Right.
It's, yeah. Opiates, heroin. It's more like heroin than crack.
Okay, yeah. Well, there you go. I'm glad we got that straightened out. What is going on here?
Kotelnik trained with, just a little factoid, I don't know if you guys knew this, but Kotelnik trained with Michałczewski back in the day in Germany.
Yeah, because wasn't he promoted by that Klaus person?
Or Sauerland, I think maybe. I don't know, I don't remember. But he
Michałczewski was with Universal, the same guys that.
Yeah. You're right. UPV.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I had Kotelnik beating Devin Alexander, and I agree that probably, maybe I was a bit wrong. He probably wasn't the worst champion, but let's be real. Amir Khan picked that wisely. There was better guys than Kotelnik in that division.
He didn't punch very hard.
And he went up.
He didn't punch very hard. That's why he took on that fight.
Well, there you go. There you go. That's what I'm saying. So there's reasons why they picked Kotelnik, and he was the one. If I was a fighter, I'd have picked him too. So he was a good fight, but he weren't the best in that division. And ever since that, we never really see him with a slick guy. We've seen him in with good fighters, technically very good fighters as well. We've never seen him in with a slick style. So when people say I've never seen Khan get outboxed, because he's never really been in with a guy like if he'd have fought Floyd, do you believe Floyd would have outboxed him?
Hold on. Did you just use the word slick twice? Is that what you did?
You don't have any idea of the facts.
Okay, you don't know. Please don't use that word, alright? Slick. What's the matter with you?
Well, you have to describe it some sort of way. What do you want me to say instead then?
I mean, it's not it's not really his fault that a lot of Amero bums
don't
use
defend
that
him.
word to describe
don't
their
defend
style
him.
as they get knocked out by foreigners.
Nah, don't defend him. He knows the rules.
I just use that as a way of describing a tricky, clever sort of fighter that's quite hard to hit. You know, it's just a way of describing that. And I don't think he's ever fought anyone really like that. Like, he didn't fight, say even a Keith Thurman sort of fighter. I know Keith Thurman's not that, but he's still got boxing skills. and he can be quite tricky. But Khan's never really fought them sort of guys. A lot of the guys Khan fought were guys that were coming forward and standing in front of him.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, listen, we could. Yeah, that's true. I don't. I was trying to see where I could go from there, but yeah, you're right. You're absolutely.
Khan also refused to fight anybody or give anybody a rematch that beat him. Like Brent Prescott was shouting for a rematch for years after he destroyed Khan. He never got the rematch. Same with Garcia. I mean, Khan just, you know, he doesn't want to ride.
Maidana never got one.
Yeah.
All right, the Fox.
Was underrated.
I just want to say something in the chat room. The Fox Strike says, or asks rather, what's wrong with using the word slick? There's really nothing fundamentally wrong with it, but it's just Bucho and me. We decided we're gonna make a decision of avoiding that word because it's thrown around too much. You know, for example, I'll give you an example. Javier Fortuna, people will describe him as slick. He's not slick. He has good reflexes. He knows how to move his head around. But he's not slick because he's not fundamentally sound when it comes to using his shoulders or his gloves to really roll with the shots. So we prefer to use the word slippery, defensively sound. I know it's longer than slick, but that's just a decision, an executive decision we made here at BDA. That's all. Well, how about no, that's
elusive.
the best. Was that?
Crafty.
Elusive.
Yeah, but see, then again, elusive. Like if you're using your shoulders, like a James Stoney wasn't. Technically, elusive means hard to find, and so yes, James Stoney was very hard to find, but he wasn't running. He was rolling with the shot, so I would call that slippery. You see where I'm going with this?
I think James Stoney was slick.
Fuck.
No, I mean it doesn't mean anything, right? Slick doesn't mean anything. It means everything and nothing at all. It's too broad.
It doesn't mean it. It's just a way of describing a certain sort of style without taking it forever to fucking describe it, really. But you know, you knew the point I was trying to get across because you agreed with me. Khan hasn't fought anyone really like that.
McCloskey,
he was. Well, I don't think he was slick. He was tricky. He was tricky. I don't think he's nothing slick about him. Not a great fighter, McCloskey. Let's be real.
McCloskey was difficult to hit and he had good technique, but athletically he was lacking. Like,
yeah.
He wasn't very fast and he couldn't really punch.
Yeah, I gotta tell you, man. You used the word slick 3 times in there, even though I told you not to do it.
You got some balls, kid. I'll give you that much.
But anyway, look, if you want to use the word slick, go ahead. But yeah, that was just the whole thing about slick. But it's interesting. Amir Khan, you guys are saying you don't think he gets past Vila Greco?
No, I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised if he got knocked out. I mean, everybody almost knocks him out.
I see no reason to trust
He almost got knocked out by Chris Algieri.
Yeah, that's a good point, man. That's a very good point. And we don't know what he's got left in the tank.
And Julio Diaz.
Oh yeah, Julio Diaz dropped him hard, man.
There was a French guy that dropped him earlier in his career too. Like there was some journeyman from France that put him down with a left hook. I can't remember the guy's name, but the guy's been dropped something like 12 times in his career.
I wonder if he's been knocked out cold during sparring as well. He must have, right?
Probably.
Most likely, yeah.
Because he used to go all out during sparring when he was with Freddie Roach.
Them Freddie Roach spars couldn't have done him a lot of good.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when you're known to get knocked the fuck out, it's sort of training Freddie Roach, right? To put Amir Khan in there and let him go toe to toe with middleweights, right? When he can't take a shot from a fucking welterweight or a 140 fighter. I mean, it's mind blowing how Freddie Roach gets away with some of this stuff. And I saw the sparring before the. What fight was it? The Danny Garcia fight. I saw the sparring before that, and he was going toe to toe with a middleweight, and I mean toe to toe, and that's what it's just fucking ridiculous.
Yeah, they were building his confidence. They were building his confidence, and I'm sure Roach was telling those guys, "Hey, go easy on him. Don't hit him very hard or very cleanly. Like, come on."
Khan was getting rocked to his boots, mate. He was taking some big shots,
and the guy probably wasn't even trying.
I saw that video. I think we played it here during one episode. About it was from a documentary, right, Stu?
I can't see the screen, bro.
No. I said.
What video are you on about?
No, but did you?
Yeah, you played it. It was a couple of months ago.
Yeah, we played it a couple of months ago, and I think it was from a documentary. That's what I'm trying to say here. And to Khan's credit, to Khan's credit, he did spar the same guy the next day or the next sparring session, and he boxed more cautiously, and he was able to dance circles around the guy. But that's always been Amir Khan's problem too, is he loves to throw punches in bunches, but he leaves himself open while he's throwing them.
Yeah, I think I saw one of those sparring matches, and his trainer told him to stop throwing as many punches and to pick his shots more carefully, and he said he didn't want to do that because that's boring.
But this is where the trainer's got to step in, bro. Why are you paying this guy? This is where a good trainer steps in and tells him, look, that you're going to do it my fucking way, and this is how it is. You've got a glass jaw, and I don't want you taking big shots. So get on the back foot and box this guy. This is how it has to be. The fact that he's going in there and taking big shots like that, I mean, no wonder his fucking durability's out the window, sort of thing. You know, you can barely take a shot. He's done, mate. He's had about 10 concussions. This guy, if he gets knocked out again, he can't fight no more. That's it. He has to stop.
Yeah.
And
he's
see,
not
it's
the smartest guy either.
Yeah, you're right. He's not the smartest guy, man. He's got a, like, he fights like he has a chip on his shoulder. Now, here's the interesting thing, because we were talking about Lara and how he has to step it up a little bit. With Amir Khan, it's the opposite. He has to dial it down a little bit because he goes all out too often. Now, against Canelo, it wasn't really his fault. I mean, it was just he dropped his hands and he got caught. But against Danny Garcia, he was throwing a right uppercut from the outside, and that's a recipe for getting knocked out, getting countered with a left foot. Yeah. Now, Virgil Hunter.
The thing is, Danny Garcia, that fight, bro.
Yeah.
Stay outside, he would have. I mean, he was so much quicker and so much faster than Danny Garcia that he could have just won that fight on cruise control. But because he wanted to prove he was hard and wanted to prove that he's got a chin, he ended up getting himself spot.
Yeah. See, the problem with Amir Khan, what a lot of people don't realise with Amir Khan, a lot of the times he gets knocked out, his chin is bad, but you know the saying, you get knocked out by the shots that you don't see. And watch Amir Khan when he's trading, he closes his eyes. He closes his eyes and you don't see the shots coming, bro.
Oh no.
And that is it. When you look when the Danny Garcia fuck it.
You hit him on the neck. You hit him somewhere.
He was timing him. Danny Garcia was timing. It was a matter of time before he caught him on the button.
Yeah.
Yeah, people don't give Danny Garcia enough credit for his counterpunching. He's a pretty sharp counterpuncher, man. He sees everything, almost everything coming, and he knows how to time his punches. But you're right. I mean, Khan, at this point, that's why it's hard to tell what he's gonna have against Phil Greco, because in theory, Khan is a much better fighter. But he's, like you said, he's been concussed a bunch of times. He's been out of the ring since 2016. We don't know what he's got, and maybe mentally too. The fact that he got, like somebody said in the chat room, he got cocked. Oh, it's Pavel said he got cocked by Anthony Joshua. I mean, is that maybe gonna play a factor too? All these physical factors, the mental factors, the mental pressure, it might get to him. You never know. I mean, I know it's just speculation, but then again, the guy's been fighting at the high level for a while now. Even as an amateur, he fought in the Olympics for Pete's sakes. He was only 19, I think, or 17, I think, something like that. So 17, yeah, there you go. So he's been under pressure, fighting under the bright lights for a long time. Mentally, I think he should be fine, but it's just physically, we don't know what he's got left.
Have you seen the fight with Michael Gomez back in the day? Amir Khan?
Yeah.
Yeah, he was
remember that. Hey, Nordic, you're on about Michael Armstrong, aren't you?
Michael Gomez?
Yeah, his real name's Michael Armstrong. That's the one you're on about, though, isn't it?
Oh, is that? I didn't know that.
Wait. His real name is what?
Michael Armstrong, but he changed his name to Gomez because his favourite fighter was a fighter from Mexico who was called Gomez, so that's why he changed his surname to Gomez.
You're a white guy, and you change your name to a Latino name.
He was Irish.
Yeah, that's what he did.
Some journeyman from Ireland.
I'd do the opposite. I'd love to change my name to that of a white person. Get a little ahead in life. You know what I mean?
What do you want? Some of that white privilege, BDA? Is
exactly. I need myself some of that white privilege, man.
I'm trying to get a better credit score.
Exactly. Trying to get some decent credit.
I'm still waiting for it.
Was that?
You don't get your check every month, bro?
No, I haven't received my white privilege check yet. I'm still waiting for it.
You guys, you don't know how this.
My friend, instead of him paying money for groceries, the grocer always says, "It's okay, buddy. It's on me."
I don't know if is that a joke? That's what the guys. Oh,
and also,
man.
he went to a bank and he didn't have any credit. They gave him a $50,000 loan.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah, it's the white privilege BDA.
Ah, okay, okay. Okay, I thought you were talking about a black guy. All right.
The little fag gets it.
It's true. Okay, 78 was right.
There is such a thing as white privilege. No, but listen.
I'm sure he said something like that.
All right, that's enough out of that. Okay, what the hell's going on in the chat room? Ganstus, shout out to Ganstus, says Brook beat Hatton just as convincingly as Canelo did. He's talking about Matthew Hatton. Brook is better than old Miguel Cotto, and Canelo struggled against Cotto. Now that's a good, interesting question. Is Brook at this point better than Miguel Cotto?
Yeah, without a doubt. I remember that Matthew Hatton fight. Brook actually put him down and beat the shit out of him, whereas Canelo couldn't really even put a dent in Matthew Hatton.
Yeah, that was a way different Canelo than today.
Yeah,
I think if
way different.
Canelo used to be like cement-footed.
You know, like
I think
one of the most
Canelo
underrated victories is Canelo's knockout of Khan. I know what people will say, but no, like that was one of his most underrated victories. Just how he went about his business, how he set him up, and just took him out with one punch without like breaking a sweat, basically. That was impressive.
Canelo's a very smart boxer. People underestimate his brain. He's got a very good boxing brain.
Yeah, Khan didn't drop his hands. Canelo was throwing the right hand to the body. He was throwing it to the body and hurting him, and then he fainted, and Khan flinched to cover his body, and then he went upstairs and sparked him out clean. You know, like
To be fair though, if that was anybody
impressive.
but Khan, would they have gone down from that punch? Like, I mean, he landed a punch like that on Triple G, and it didn't even phase him. I mean, I know it was a good knockout and he set it up well, but it was against Amir Khan, who's known for getting dropped and known for getting knocked out. So it's hard to really say how credible it was, I think.
No. But the point I'm making is, like, for example, Danny Garcia, he was trying the left hook and punches, and he was gonna get it eventually, and he did. He landed it on the neck. Canelo, that was the first time he threw the right hand upstairs, I believe, with any intention. Like, he took his time, he studied him. He wanted a highlight knockout because he knew he had enough power to do that to this guy, and he wanted one of those, knockout reels. So it was still impressive. I know a lot of guys would take that punch, but like Danny Jacobs would go down from that punch. He'd get up and keep fighting, but he'd go down from that punch. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was definitely a good shot, and he set it up nicely.
Yeah.
I thought Cotto held Canelo's shots quite well. He held Canelo's shots quite well. I think
He wasn't
Canelo
putting
beats
much on
Kelton.
them.
Oh.
I think Canelo beats
a lot
Kelton.
bigger in that fight.
Hold on, one at a time.
I think Canelo beats Kelbrook. At the moment, I really do. I think if they fought, I'd be picking Canelo to win that one.
Well,
yeah, right now. But let's see what Kelbrook has at 154, right? Let him build himself back up.
Yeah.
Does anybody hear that echo?
No, I don't hear anything. Anyway, look, listen, Kell Brook, he should stay at 154, man. Forget middleweight. We already saw what happens to him when he goes up to middleweight. And the fact Errol Spence stopped him, I mean, it's not a good... Yeah, stay at 154. If he can make 154, stay there.
Yeah, there's a lot of factors behind that stoppage, though. You can't just throw him out the window. There's factors behind that stoppage.
The 147 Spence would not have stopped the 154-pound Brook, but if Spence moves up to 154, that's a different story. But
did you hear that he said he wanted to fight Brook at 154 if he got a belt?
Yeah, he said something about that.
I'm all for that fight. Let's see it.
Yeah,
I'd love to see it.
Why not?
Fight again.
I still think Errol Spence beats him, man. Yeah, 154.
Yeah, maybe so, but it'll be a better fight because Kell Brook won't be a fucking zombie in there.
Look, he's going to be hitting a lot harder. He hit Errol Spence early, plenty, and clean.
Cutting weight.
To be honest, I think both Brook and Spence are going to be more healthy at 154, so we'll probably get a much better fight.
Now imagine if he is able to land his punches.
I thought he tagged Spence
down.
Yeah, Brook was definitely outboxing him.
Yeah, Brook was outboxing him early on, but then Spence came out strong. Last question here from the Fox Strikes. He says, who has a faster hand, Strout or Lara?
Lara.
I don't know about that. They're both pretty.
I mean, they're both kind of like single shot, maximum 3-punch combination guys.
Mm-hmm.
Trout's punches are horrible. They're just worthless. They're just worthless punches that he throws. Just arm punches, get away from me punches. Where Lara's got a bit of venom behind.
Neither one is very fast. Neither one is fast.
No.
So
You don't think so?
I think Lara's come up. I think Lara's come with a bit more precision, a bit more speed than
timing,
Trout's do.
better timing.
Yeah, definitely better timing from Lara. But I would say, just based on the eye test, which might be deceitful, but it appears to me that Lara has a faster hands. But then again, it could be an illusion.
Yeah.
Could be a mirage. Could be a mirage. Alright guys, listen. We've been at this for 3 hours. I enjoyed it. But I think it's time to call it a night. And by the way, Stu, what time is it over there in England right now?
3 o'clock.
Jeez Louise. Is this your normal schedule, by the way?
Nah, it's weekend, isn't it? So
Right.
I've had a rest day today, so I've got tomorrow off and then back to work Monday.
Right, there you go. Alright, but listen. Before we go, I want to thank everybody that was here. I want to thank Hamed, who was here earlier, Cameron. I want to thank Ray for being here as always. I want to thank Stu, Reverse Lee. Don't forget to check out Reverse Lee's YouTube channel. Don't forget to check out Precise Puncher's channel on YouTube as well. Check out Cameron Gillion's Twitter page. Check out Nordic Warrior's YouTube channel as well. He's got some great content there. Nordic, thank you for being here as well. Thank you all guys. You guys make this a great show. It wouldn't be as fun to do without you. And of course it wouldn't be a good show without the people out there as well. They're asking good questions, making funny comments in the chat room. Shout out to Shepherd of Sons, Hamed92 who is there as well. Recognize the Matrix, Cachnello giving my fight, Mario G, Del Boys Boxing News, Dino Parksio, German Persian, Steven Skillrose, Ivan Cuauhtemoc Vega Ortiz, Mark Stokes, Omar Ali. I think Akuma's Deception was there as well for a while. Kyle, Fight Fan Phil. My goodness gracious, I can't name them all. I'm going through the list here. Who else, man? Fam Ollie, the Punisher. Cameron Gillon was in the chat room too as well. The Fox Strikes, Slate Tumbler, Eddie Gomez. No, Eddie Flores. Anyway, you guys know who you are. You make this show what it is. Thank you for listening to us as always. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Don't forget to subscribe to BDA Live, and don't forget to subscribe to our usual main mother channel, BDA Normal. And you know, we'll talk about next time episode. We'll talk about Parker versus Joshua. That's going to be a good one, I think. It should be interesting to see what happens in there. I hope it's an interesting fight, and I hope there's no shenanigans. I don't think I can take more shenanigans after this whole Canelo Golovkin thing. I mean, I don't know. What do you guys say? Last question. What's the probability of something going bad in that fight? I'm talking corruption-wise. Like 20%, 30%, 50%? You guys tell me.
Which fight?
Joshua Parker.
100% chance, but it might be very minor.
Whoa. Alright, 100% from Precise. Anybody else? Come on. Last question.
50%.
Right. What was the question?
Alright, hold on. Nordic says 50%. The question is, what are the chances, the probabilities, in percentage-wise, that something corrupt happens next week between Joshua and Parker?
10%.
He said 10%. Did you say 10%?
10%.
10%.
What have you really seen any corruption in the Joshua fight yet?
Well, the Takam fight got stopped a little too early.
Takam could have been a bit early, but let's keep it real. Takam was getting his ass whooped. He had his own. His the time.
Klitschko fight.
So
that's a corruption in that fight.
Corruption, then, bro.
All right, listen, we're having some connection issues here, and that was the last question. Okay, but hold on. Who hasn't? All right. Nordic said 50%. Ray, what do you think? What do you say?
I think it's pretty low, to be honest with you.
All right. Well, there you go.
I don't think Parker has much of a shot in the fight.
All right. So we have a bit of an optimist here. He doesn't think it's going to be that much. I mean, you think it's going to be legit then?
Yeah. I mean, I don't think I don't think Parker's got the hands to keep Joshua honest.
All right, reverse.
Just to clarify, I think Joshua wins clearly. Just to clarify, I've been saying that forever. But like, they're not gonna give Parker the kind of rounds that he deserves. He's not gonna be able to. There's gonna be corruption, but Joshua wins clearly.
All right, all right. I understand what you're saying. Reverse. What do you think?
Joshua will probably have an easy enough time where the most they'll do is give him an early stoppage.
The most they'll give him is an early stoppage. All right, so there you go. People have very little confidence in boxing right now, and it's understandable. Has it really given us that much to be confident about? Or maybe I'm being a pessimist. I don't know. Pessimism, realism, you decide out there, people. That's the question for you out there. All right, so again, want to thank you guys for being on. As always, you make this show great. I thoroughly enjoy it. 3 hours go by like this. I'm snapping my fingers to signify how fast it goes. I also want to thank Bucho, who was here earlier, had to go at the last second. But I want to thank him as well, my co-host, for being here. Thank you again, finally, everybody in the chat room. And we'll see you on the next one, folks. Take care. See you, people. Good night.
Alright, guys. See you later.
Take it easy.